Welcome back to Only Talk Sports, and tonight we have the Eastern Conference Finals between the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat. Live reaction and play-by-play. I cannot wait for this game because of the fact Boston is down 2-0. They lost both home games. I don't think anyone would have thought that was possible, or possibly either that the Denver Nuggets will be up 3-0 on the Lakers right now, but that is where we are at. But the game has just started. Boston missed on the other end, and then Miami scores with Kevin Love in the mid-range, 2-0 Heat. And for Miami being at home, it is looking good for them in this series if they can win this game and go up 3-0 in the series as well, just like Denver has against the Lakers. But the difference is for Denver, they won both home games and won on the road. For Miami, they've won both road games. Can they now win at home? But Kevin Love for three. Kevin Love is hot early. He's got the first 5 points for Miami with a big three in the corner. It's 5-0 Miami over Boston. And the Celtics, they already need a bucket. Marcus Smart with the basketball being guarded by Bam Adebayo. Now Jason Tatum, he knocks down the three. That's a big shot for Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics. They needed a point to get on the board. That's a huge shot right there. 5-2-3, Miami over Boston. 10:40 to go in the first quarter. Jimmy Butler, who has definitely been akin to his name, Jimmy Buckets. He's been fantastic in these NBA playoffs for the Miami Heat. Now Bam Adebayo, he scores on the drive. It's 7-3, Miami over Boston. 10:20 to go in the first quarter. Now Jason Tatum over to Derek White in the corner, and Derek White misses a three. Kevin Love with the rebound, still 7-3. Miami over Boston. 10-10 to go in the first quarter. Now Max Strus, who has been great in these NBA playoffs for Miami. He's been knocking down shots. He's been really solid. Max Strus with the basketball, shoots over Marcus Smart. That's a deep three, but it's off the mark. Now Jaylen Brown going up the floor for Boston, driving into the lane on Gabe Vincent all the way to the rim. What a play by Jaylen Brown. That's a really good shot by Jaylen Brown, 7-5. And that's what you got to do. Get to the rim. If you're not making your threes, get to the rim. 7-5 Miami over Boston. 9:40 to go in the first. Jimmy Butler, he thought about the three, decides to give it to Bam Adebayo. Good defense from Boston. There's a turnover. Derek White to Jason Tatum all the way down the floor, and Jason Tatum dunks it home. 7-all. We have a tie game. Boston has responded after the quick flurry by Miami to start the game. Gabe Vincent at the top of the key, undrafted out of UC Santa Barbara. The one big thing about Miami is they've got several undrafted players out of college, which is crazy that they've had so much success with these players. You look at Max Strus, undrafted out of DePaul. You look at Duncan Robinson, undrafted out of Michigan. Gabe Vincent, undrafted out of UC Santa Barbara. It's awesome to see the player development from the Miami Heat, but unfortunately for Miami, they were not able to score on the last possession. Now Jaylen Brown with a turnaround mid-range shot, and he knocks it down. Jaylen Brown looking smooth early, a lot sharper than he was in game two when he only had 16 points. That's a really good sign for Boston fans to see Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum looking good to start. 9-7 Boston, they're in the lead for the first time. 8:40 to go in the first quarter. Max Strus at the top of the key over to Jimmy Buckets, being guarded by Derek White, who was a great addition for Boston this past season, coming over from the Spurs in the trade deadline season. That was a really good addition. Jimmy Butler with a step back mid-range too. He spent money on that shot in these NBA playoff games for Miami. A really good shot by Jimmy Butler. Marcus Smart over to Al Horford for three, and Al Horford knocks down the shot to quiet down the Miami Heat crowd. 12-9 Boston over Miami. Big shot by Al Horford. He is a veteran at the age of 36, a really solid player still at this stage of his career. Max Strus over to Kevin Love. Back to Strus. 7:50 to go in the first quarter. Now Jimmy Butler with the basketball. Derek White on. Jimmy Butler drives in the lane. 4-2. His shot is short. Al Horford with the rebound. Now Jason Tatum up the floor for Boston. He drives by Strus. Gets to the rim. His shot's off the mark. No foul is called. Kevin Love, he has the rebound. Now Jimmy Butler has the ball going up the floor. Jimmy Butler's driving on the right wing with Al Horford on him. He pulls back for three. His shot's off the mark. Probably should have drove it there, but decided to take the step back three. Now Jaylen Brown down the floor, showing his athleticism, getting into the lane. He gets cut off. Now Tatum, top of the key, and the ball is poked away by Jimmy Butler. What a steal there. That is good. That is really good defense from Miami, which they're going to have because you feel like for the Boston Celtics, they're going to do everything they possibly can to win this game. This is a must-win game. You never want to call a game a must-win game, but you cannot get any more must-win than this game because for the Boston Celtics, if they drop this game, they will be down 3-0. And no team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit. I know that Denver and Los Angeles is in the same boat, but at least the only solace that the Lakers have is their next game is still at home. For Boston, if you drop this game, you're down 3-0. The next game is at Miami as well. So that would be awful for Boston. It would destroy all their momentum. If at least Boston's able to win this game and then they lose the next one, yes, they'll be down 3-1, but the next game would be at home. Still a slim chance that Boston could come back and complete the 3-1 comeback, but they have to win this game. We'll have to see, but we have a TV timeout, 7:13 to go. Boston is looking pretty solid early in this game, 12-9 over Miami, but Boston is a team that I personally feel has the deepest team in the NBA, even though Denver is testing that because the Nuggets are looking really solid right now. Denver is going out there with all of their players, whether it's Kentavious Caldwell, Pope, Bruce Brown, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and they're showing that they have a really deep team, even Jeff Green, Christian Brown. But then you also look at Boston. When they're playing at their best, Al Horford's getting involved. Robert Williams with his defense and his effort on the glass and his putback dunks. He's a fantastic player. Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon, Grant Williams. Even though Grant Williams is definitely a part of a lot of people's opinion that Boston lost that last game because him and Jimmy Butler got into it late in the fourth quarter. They were barking at each other. And after that, Jimmy Butler turned it on. He started playing so hard and well at the end of that game. And Grant Williams was not really effective after that altercation with Jimmy Butler and Grant Williams. So very interesting there. But when Grant Williams is locked in, he can be a really solid player as well. So Boston, they have a deep team. But in these NBA playoffs, it's been about consistency. And Boston has not had a lot of consistency, even in that Atlanta Hawks series, to go all the way back to the first round. Boston had some games where they struggled against Atlanta. They were not perfect in that series. No team is perfect. But the way Denver right now is playing against Los Angeles, that is insane how they're playing, whether it's Jamal Murray or whether it's Nikola Jokic, and then the rest of their team playing at a high level. But then you look at Boston. If Jason Tatum's having a great game, maybe Jaylen Brown's struggling, or Al Horford doesn't really contribute in this game, he does the next. And then maybe Derek White's struggling. For Boston, they're not getting every player to play at a high level. And no, you can't expect a team to have every guy that goes out on the floor playing at a high level every game. But that's what Miami's doing. People have talked about Miami's the least deep team of the four teams in the NBA Conference Finals. But the way Miami's playing, they're disproving that theory because even though Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo are out, guys like Duncan Robinson and Max Strus are playing at an extremely high level for Miami. It has been fantastic to watch. You look at Gabe Vincent, Kyle Lowry can still contribute, even though he has had some games where he has struggled. He has not been playing perfect basketball all around. He has definitely had some struggles. He did not have a great game too. But since Gabe Vincent played really, really well, and you can't even forget about Caleb Martin, who had like 25 points in game two. It goes on and on for Miami. Caleb Martin, another guy that was undrafted. So Miami is a team that on the surface, on paper, they do not look like one of the deeper teams in the NBA. But they've got some sneaky depth because they're going out there and using the players that they have, and they're playing at a high level. And they've given Boston fits. And Boston didn't play awful in the first two games, but it was just enough for Miami to win. And now the game is back at Miami. The series is back in Miami, and Boston is going to have to find a way to win this game, or they might be out of this series and out of these playoffs. But we'll have to see if they can find a way to get the first win in the series here because Boston desperately needs it. But unfortunately for Boston, they just fouled Max Strus at the top of the key. Max Strus, definitely a good free throw shooter, but he will not be going to the line because neither team's in the bonus yet, and the foul was on the floor. But they're showing Eric Spoelstra. He's had a long NBA coaching career. He has been a solid coach, and he's had a lot of success, whether you go all the way back to the LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh era, or even now with Jimmy Butler. He's had a lot of success as a coach. And up there with Greg Popovich is one of the longest tenured coaches in the NBA at the same organization. You look at Doc Rivers. He's been in the NBA a long time as well, but he's gone from team to team. So Miami misses, and then Boston misses as well. So it's back in the Heat's hands. Gabe Vincent at the top of the key. Over to Jimmy Butler, who's being guarded by Derek White. Jimmy Butler, he's been fantastic in these playoffs for Miami. What is he going to do? He decides to kick it out to Caleb Martin in the corner, who had a great game too, and it looks like it's going to continue in game 3. Caleb Martin in the corner rattles that shot home, and we have a tie game yet again, 12-12. Derek White, top of the key, kicks it over to Jason Tatum, to Marcus Smart, who did not have a good game 2 as well. I haven't even mentioned Marcus Smart, one of the best defenders in the NBA, but he really struggled for Boston in game 2. But Jaylen Brown with another step back too, and he knocks down the J. 14-12. That's a good shot by Jaylen Brown. And then Gabe Vincent on the other end ties it back up. We're going back and forth early. This is exactly what you want to see in a high-profile game like this. 14-14. Now Jaylen Brown with a step back two again, and Jaylen Brown is feeling it early for Boston. 16-14. 5:40 to go in the first quarter. That's a good sign for Boston, having Jaylen Brown hitting shot after shot like that. Now Max Strus top of the key with Marcus Smart on. That's a tough matchup for Max Strus. And Bam Adebayo, I think they're going to get him for an illegal screen. That's tough right there for Bam Adebayo. Marcus Smart is one of the best players in the NBA at selling contact, at selling fouls. He is really good at it, and he got Bam Adebayo on that play right there. So it will be going back to the Boston Celtics after this play. So 5:30 to go in the first quarter. Derek White gets it to Malcolm Brogdon, who's been inserted to the game for Boston off the bench, and you also have Robert Williams into the game. And now I think there's an offensive foul on Boston. I don't know if it was on Robert Williams or who it was on, but now Miami's getting the ball right back, so no worries, no foul on that Bam Adebayo offensive foul, because now Miami's getting the ball back. Down by 2 points. 16-14. 5:20 to go in the first quarter. Caleb Martin over to Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's driving, and he draws a foul on Jaylen Brown. The one thing you can tell about the stars in the NBA is they are great at drawing fouls, great at drawing contact. The Lakers tried to beat the Denver Nuggets last night by the free throw line. They were getting to the line, but they just could not make enough shots. Denver did. You still have to be able to shoot the basketball to win, but the free throw line can help you get over the top if you are driving and putting a lot of fouls on the other team, getting them in foul trouble, and you are making your free throws. Now Jimmy Butler driving into the lane, kicks to Gabe Vincent in the corner, 2 on the shot clock, and he knocks down the 3 with a hand in his face. What a shot by Gabe Vincent. He is a very confident player as well right now. That's a big shot and a very unselfish pass by Jimmy Butler, showing he trusts his teammates to be able to make a big shot like that. Malcolm Brogdon misses the 3. Derek White tried to save it, and he could not. It's back to Miami. Bam Adebayo over to Strus, back to Adebayo, and Adebayo's blocked from behind by Robert Williams. How did he block that without fouling? That's a fantastic block by Robert Williams. But Malcolm Brogdon's 3 was an air ball. He's a guy that can shoot the 3. He has a very unconventional looking shot, but Malcolm Brogdon is a guy off the bench that can shoot the basketball, and he won 6th Man of the Year. So he is a solid player. That was not a good shot at all for the Boston Celtics. Now you're putting Bam Adebayo at the line for Miami, which he is a guy that can make his free throws. Doesn't hit him all the time. Not a perfect free throw shooter, but he can knock him down at a decent rate, and he knocks down the first, 18-16. So if you're Miami, probably be a good strategy to try to get Boston in foul trouble, because that is a way to make the team that is, defending you not defend you as hard, because of the fact they are in foul trouble. They have to worry about those fouls. So if Miami can get Boston in foul trouble, that will go a long way potentially for Miami win this game. And if Miami wins this game, their chances of winning the series go through the roof, because no team's ever come back from a 3-0 deficit. I don't think anybody would have thought Boston could be down 2-0 right now, or potentially 3-0 in this series. But we'll have to see, can Boston respond? If any team can do it, I think it is Boston. But we'll have to see if they have enough gas left in the tank. Bam Adebayo missed the second, so that helps Boston a bit. 18-16. Grant Williams is now into the game for Boston. We'll see if he has a good game 3 after he had a pretty solid game 2, except for the end. Jaylen Brown misses. Now it's back down the other way. Caleb Martin gets it to Jimmy Butler. Outside 4-3 for Max Strus, and he knocks down the 3. 21-16. Miami's up by 5. What a shot by Max Strus, but more importantly, what a pass by Jimmy Butler. And that you can argue is when Jimmy Butler is at his best. When Jimmy Butler is passing the ball to his teammates, that just makes it so much better for Miami. You look at Nikola Jokic, they interviewed him and they talked about how he likes to pass the ball just as much as score. And Nikola Jokic is such a smart player because of the fact he passes the ball to his teammates, he sets them up, and he gets his teammates going because he gets them good looks. And when they start knocking down shots, the more players on your team that you have in rhythm and they're making big shot after big shot, that helps you win. Because if it's all Jokic and Murray, then you're not going to be able to win most games like that. If it's all Bam Adebayo or Jimmy Butler, it's going to be very hard for Miami to win. But when you get the three-point shooters, some good looks like Caleb Martin, like Duncan Robinson, like Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, which Jimmy Butler has done at length in this playoff series for Miami, that's why they're up 2-0. Because Jimmy Butler, he had to have 56 points to help Miami win that game against the Milwaukee Bucks. So he has had his moments where Jimmy Butler's had to carry the team, and he can carry a team. He's a fantastic player. But still, sometimes the team's at its best when you are passing the ball to your teammates. And the more you pass the ball to your teammates and the more that you're getting them assists, you're getting those assists because your teammates are making shots off your passes. That just makes your team so much more dangerous because then it's very hard to double team guys like Jimmy Butler because you're leaving those guys open and they start knocking down those shots. Then you've got a bunch of guys that you just can't stop and it gets a whole team in rhythm. So definitely in the modern day NBA, it's great to score, but sometimes when your stars are passing the ball to some of your role players or some of your complementary players and gets them going and they can have 15 and 20 and 25-point games, that's how you win. Because Miami does not beat Boston in game 2 if Caleb Martin does not have 25 points. Caleb Martin was huge for Miami in game 2 because he was hitting shot after shot, and that was putting all of the pressure on Boston because Jimmy Butler wasn't having to do everything. And then he took over in the fourth, just like Jamal Murray has done for Denver in several games. He struggled like in game 1 against the Lakers, and in the fourth quarter, he turned it on. Jokic, same thing in game 3. He was able to come from behind and be able to come back and help Denver win in the fourth quarter with his points. You got to pick your spots as a star. Maybe your shots aren't falling right now, but if you get your teammates involved, they can start getting points. And then at the end or during a stretch where your teammates are strong, that's when you take over. That's why the Phoenix Suns, unfortunately, just didn't really have a great shot of winning the NBA title this season. Because even though they had great top talent, and Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, and even you could throw in DeAndre Ayton. Unfortunately, Chris Paul was hurt, but Chris Paul is still a solid player. The bench was not there because of the fact the Suns had to trade so much to get Kevin Durant. You need a bench. If you want to win an NBA title today with all of these great teams in the NBA, because you could have argued around 6 or 7 teams could have won it all this year, whether it was Boston, whether it was Milwaukee, whether it was Philadelphia. I don't really think anybody had Miami, but they're here right now. And you look at the West, you look at Denver, you look at the Lakers, you look at the Warriors, maybe even Phoenix or the Clippers. All these teams could have won it all this year. But the teams that are here right now, the Final Four teams had the depth. The Lakers have had great depth at the end of the season when they got D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura. They were playing great basketball. Denver is exposing them right now for a lot of weaknesses, and Denver's doing a great job because their depth's been insane. But can they finish off the series, get to the first finals? We'll have to see. But for Boston and Miami, both teams have a lot of depth, and that's why they're here. And right now, Miami's depth's just doing better than Boston. We'll see if it can continue. Boston's got the ball after the timeout. They're down by 5 points. Malcolm Brogdon for 2, and he's off the mark. He is cold right now. And Miami with a 5-point lead with the ball. Jimmy Butler bringing the ball down the floor. Under 4 to go in the first quarter. Jimmy Butler down the lane. And a steal by Jason Tatum. That's a really good defensive play by Jason Tatum. He read Jimmy Butler like a book. Now Al Horford at the top of the key. Back to Jason Tatum. Tatum, he can take over a game at any time. But right now, he's passing to his teammates. Down to Al Horford again with a little hook shot, and Al Horford gets it to go. 21-18, 3-point game. Boston is down right now, but that is a good shot by Al Horford. If your threes aren't falling, get in the lane and get a relatively easy 2. Jimmy Butler with Jason Tatum on right now. It's a really good matchup both ways. Max Strus, decoy at the top of the key like Jimmy Butler's going to pass it in, but he gets it to Bam Adebayo in the mid-range. Bam Adebayo takes Al Horford off the dribble with a step back 2. His shot's off the mark. Really good defense by Al Horford. Now Brogdon down the floor over to Tatum. Tatum drives into the lane, and there's a lot of contact. Jason Tatum ran right into Caleb Martin. There's no foul call, but now Bam Adebayo's on the floor. I don't know if they finally called a foul or what, but 3:01 to go in the first quarter. But you can't have an NBA Conference Finals without contact. Yes, Jason Tatum accidentally got Bam Adebayo in the head. He did not mean to. I do not think, but he got him, unfortunately, with his head. Hopefully, with his foot. Hopefully, Bam Adebayo's head is okay. He just got him a little bit in the head right there, but unfortunately, that is what it is. When you're on the floor, it's always dangerous because you can get hit with a foot. But Bam Adebayo's on the bench. Cody Zeller's now into the game for Miami. Sets a ball screen. Now Kyle Lowry also into the game. Drives in. Kicks to Caleb Martin. Kind of a bad pass, which prevented Caleb Martin from shooting that three. Now Caleb Martin off the dribble. Jaylen Brown pokes it out of bounds, and it will remain Miami Heat basketball. But Boston trying to ratchet up the defense. That's something they've kind of struggled with just a little bit. Boston is a team that can play great defense, but they've given up at times a decent amount of points to Miami, especially from players that you wouldn't expect, like Caleb Martin. Max Strus misses a three. Jimmy Butler tried to get the rebound. He could not. Now Jaylen Brown down the floor. Jaylen Brown to Malcolm Brogdon, who has been cold in this game. He loses the ball out of bounds. So it will remain Boston ball. I think he's looking for a foul, but he's not going to get it. You can make an argument he was fouled. Sometimes when a guy reaches down, they don't call it. Even though he might get him a little bit on the arm, they see that he got ball, but it is what it is. But still, it remains Boston basketball. Jason Tatum, top of the key, trying to blow by Cody Zeller. He goes up with a mid-range, actually kicks to Robert Williams, and Robert Williams lays it in. That's a good play, 21-20. That almost looked like the Jamal Murray play to Bruce Brown, where it looked like he was going up with a floater, and instead it was a pass, and he laid it in. Same thing with Jason Tatum. Like he was going for the mid-range shot, but he got it to Robert Williams instead. That's a really good play. Jimmy Butler to Caleb Martin in the corner. Caleb Martin being guarded by Jaylen Brown heavily. Now Kyle Lowry off the dribble. Kyle Lowry for a mid-range two. That's a good shot by Kyle Lowry. Still got it at the age of 37. 23-20. Miami up by 3. 1:45 to go in the first. Looks like Duncan Robinson's about to check in for Miami. Now Jason Tatum. Step back three. That's his signature shot. He can't get it to go. Now Robert Williams with the rebound. He misses. He gets the ball back over Cody Zeller. Now Malcolm Brogdon in the corner, and he's still off. Malcolm Brogdon just cannot hit a three. Now Grant Williams, he steps out of bounds. Grant Williams is furious, but he did step out of bounds. Like maybe he got away with a push-off on Miami. I don't know if maybe they did call it. I think they did. I think they called that foul. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't too bad. It didn't look actually as bad the second time out, but I do think Grant Williams pushed Max Strus in the back just enough. And they're going to call that foul on Grant Williams. So 1:29 to go in the first quarter, and Max Strus, a really good three-point shooter, is at the line. You do not want to put Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, any of those guys at the line if you are the Boston Celtics, because they're going to hit their free throws. Miami hits the first. So it's 24-20. Boston still struggling a little bit right now on both sides of the ball. They're not doing a bad job, but Miami still is kind of in control of this game. Max Strus, he knocks down the second as well. Good free throws from him. 25-20, Miami up 5. 1:20 to go in the first quarter. Malcolm Brogdon over to Jaylen Brown. 1:20 to go in the first quarter. Jaylen Brown, top of the key. He's had some big shots early. He's probably been the player that's been hitting the most shots for Boston so far. Now it's over to Grant Williams. Grant Williams thought about taking the shot, but instead goes off the dribble. Max Strus on him. Grant Williams takes it hard against Cody Zeller, and I think there's a foul. Looks like he did draw a foul on Cody Zeller. Zeller tried to go up straight, but it looks like Grant Williams got the foul call. I don't know if it's on the shot, though. Or they might have called it on Max Strus for hooking Robert Williams. I don't think so, because if it was Grant Williams on Zeller, they would have given him free throws. They're letting Boston inbound the ball. So it was on Max Strus down low with a little bit of a hook on Robert Williams. Now Jaylen Brown misses a floater. Cody Zeller with the rebound. Jaylen Brown, that's probably his biggest miss so far. I had a really good look, but just could not get it to fall. Now Jimmy Butler, top of the key. He's driving into the lane. Kicks out again to Caleb Martin for another three, and he knocks it down. Insane right there. 28-20. Jimmy Butler, the facilitator. He's just kicking it outside to his teammates, and they're knocking down threes. Boston needs to be aware of that. You can't let Jimmy Butler get in the middle of the paint and just kick it out for a three. Got to guard the shooters a bit better. Jaylen Brown slips on the other end. Now down the floor, Caleb Martin goes up strong and lays it in. 10-point game. 30-20. 31 seconds left in the first quarter, and Miami, the crowd is going nuts. They're up by 10. and Boston's falling behind in a game they have to have. They need to win this game, and it's not looking good for Boston right now. Still tons of time to go, 3 quarters left, but a good run by the Miami Heat to go up 10. Now Robert Williams down the floor, lays it in. I don't know if they're going to give him the points. 15 seconds. Is that a charge? I think it is. I think Lowry, he stepped in front of him. I think that's going to be an offensive foul on Robert Williams. That's a lot of contact. You've got a 6'10", 250-pound guy going up against a 6'1" guy and Kyle Lowry. That is tough right there. But Kyle Lowry is a warrior. He is a guy known for taking charges. But definitely a lot of contact. I think they're going to review it. I don't know if either team challenged it, but I think they're going to review it. We'll have to see. It's close, but I do think that Kyle Lowry gets in front of him. And I feel like Robert Williams did charge into him, but we'll have to see. But for Boston, it would be big for them if they do call it a blocking foul, because that will be a 2-and-1. But we'll have to see for sure. It's going to be very interesting. Jeff says, I'm here and ready to roll. I really appreciate it, Jeff. Thanks for stopping by. We've got a big game here. It's the conference finals. And potentially the conference finals could be over really soon. So we're definitely going to have to enjoy them while we got them. It's going to be going over to the finals before we know it, if this Miami-Boston series and the Denver-LA series ends quickly. If Miami's able to beat Boston tonight, they'll be up 3-0, and Denver's up 3-0 on Los Angeles. And history suggests when the series goes up 3-0, usually it does end in the next game or two. So we'll have to see for sure what happens. But the conference finals, they're winding down really quickly unless somehow Los Angeles can make it interesting in that Denver series, or Boston can get a win tonight and try to extend this series. We'll have to see, but it's definitely winding down for sure on these 2023 NBA playoffs. A lot of fun, though. They've been great, and there's still some action left, some games left to watch. I'm looking forward to it. Really appreciate all you guys for being here tonight so far for this big game, but definitely it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But right now, they're reviewing it still. 15.1 seconds left in the first quarter, 30-20. Miami's up by 10 points over Boston. The Celtics just look a little off, whether it's they're a step slow on defense or whether they're just on the offensive end. They're not getting the best looks. Some of their shots have been good looks, but they haven't gotten maybe as good of looks as Miami has, and they have not capitalized on the good looks that they have gotten. But we'll see if they do give them the points. If Robert Williams gets the points, it'll be a 2-and-1. I mean, you can make an argument that Kyle Lowry was moving just a little bit to his left, but I'm not 100% sure either. It's really close. But Robert Williams driving in, Kyle Lowry trying to take a charge, an offensive foul. They called it originally that on the floor. I think they overturned it. They've given Boston 2 points, 30-22. So they gave Boston the and one right there. That's a big play. That's a play to remember because Boston is down by 10, and Miami would have got the ball back. They had to call a charge, but instead they gave Boston the and one. Robert Williams will have a free throw as well. This is a really big swing play. This is a play Boston desperately needed to go their way. Kyle Lowry doesn't like it. I can make an argument for him for sure. I definitely think you could say that it was an offensive foul, but they called it a block. So Robert Williams will have a free throw. He's not the greatest free throw shooter in the world, but he can knock him down. We'll see if he can hit it here for Boston, and he does not. He misses the free throw, so it's still an 8-point game. 10 seconds left in the first quarter. Kyle Lowry going down the floor. Miami up by 8. What does Eric Spoelstra have drawn up for Miami? Now you've got Lowry over to Caleb Martin. Back to Lowry for 3. His shot's off the mark, and that will be the end of the first quarter. 30-22. Very interesting. Right there. Not a great first quarter for Boston. You can make an argument that Miami dominated that first quarter, even though they're only up by 8. There were several moments where Boston looked a bit shaky. But we'll have to see as we go further and further in this game. There's 3 quarters left. You look at the Denver-LA game. Los Angeles took the lead. They were up 94-93. And then Denver came all the way around, went on a 13-0 run, took control of the game, and then they ended up winning. Boston can go on a big run, take the lead, and be able to beat Miami. But the way things are going right now, Miami could definitely win this game. And see, the thing is about playoff games the way the NBA works, we have a game of 7. It's all about momentum. And I think when you look at the way Miami is playing right now, they've been building confidence ever since that Milwaukee Bucks series. They've been building more and more confidence. And then the way they played against the Knicks and now the way that they're playing against Boston, it goes on and on. Just watching Miami's confidence grow series after series. Jimmy Butler's been playing at a high level. And then now he's got his teammates going out there and contributing at a high level as well. Miami's just building more and more confidence. And I feel like if you're a Miami Heat fan, you're in a great spot here. Because if Miami wins this game, there is a probably 90+% chance you'll have the chance to win the series because of the fact that the Boston Celtics, they have the talent to come back down 3-0, but no team's ever done it. And it's hard to predict that Boston would be able to come back from 3-0. It's not impossible because anything is possible, even if it's never been done before. But Miami has that momentum and the belief they can just take Boston out right here if they can win this game. And then all they'll have to do is win one of the next 4 games. They're moving on. And if they do play Denver in the finals, even though Denver is the deeper team, just like Boston is, it doesn't mean Miami can't win it the way that Miami is playing right now. Miami is very confident, and Miami is a team that is not letting up at all whatsoever, and none of their players look nervous of being in the spotlight in the moment. They're just playing hard. Caleb Martin is not like an undrafted guy out of Nevada. You don't look at these other guys like Duncan Robinson and Max Strus, and they're undrafted guys out of their respective colleges. They're going out there and just playing hard. And that's what you want to see if you are a fan of an NBA team. In Miami, they've got a lot of confidence, and it's all led by Jimmy Butler. But they've definitely put Boston to a halt right now. But we'll have to see if Boston can turn it around, because if they don't win this game, it could be all she wrote for the Boston Celtics. Jackson says, I hope Grant Williams learned a lesson from Friday night. The lesson is don't poke the bear. Thanks for being here, Jackson. But for sure, if you're Grant Williams, it might not be the best thing in the world to get into an altercation with Jimmy Butler, because all Jimmy Butler is going to do is use that to fuel him. And he said that. I mean, I respect Jimmy Butler for just going out there and saying, I love it. I love, the back and forth, the bickering between me and Grant Williams. It's just competitiveness. And it helps Jimmy Butler go out there and play even harder. It fuels him. It motivates him. And that is a glorious thing to see. Jimmy Butler is just a competitor, and after that moment with Grant Williams, he started to play at an even higher level. So if you are Grant Williams and the Boston Celtics, you don't want to provoke the Miami Heat right now. Just go out there, play your game, try to win, and let your play, speak for itself, not with words, but with your actions on the court, how you're playing. Miami, though, with an 8-point lead after a really good first quarter. You've got Kyle Lowry with the basketball. He had a really good floater a few possessions ago. He's in the lane, kicks back out to Caleb Martin, who has been great the last couple of games. Duncan Robinson, who can also stroke it from 3. Duncan Robinson all the way to the rim, and he lays it in. That's a great play by Duncan Robinson. Again, just a very confident play by Duncan Robinson, getting all the way to the rim and laying it up over a much taller defender. That's a great play. 32-22. Miami back up by 10. Now Malcolm Brogdon, who has been struggling in this game for Boston. He has not made a shot yet. He misses again. Now Lowry down the floor. Lowry tries to get in the middle of the paint, but he is not back out to the three-point line. Gabe Vincent's trying to drive now. Good defense by Brogdon. Gabe Vincent can't go anywhere. Still great defense from Brogdon. Somebody's got to help Vincent, and that's a travel. Finally, a travel on Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent needed some help, but there was no one there to get the basketball from him. Now Grant Williams is going to the bench for the Boston Celtics after a relatively short stint, a relatively uneventful stint for Grant Williams, but I'm sure that will not be the last we see of him for the Boston Celtics. Derek White is back into the game for the Celtics, but Boston needs points. Where are they going to come from? Jaylen Brown's on the bench, but Jason Tatum's in. Maybe Tatum can get going. Derek White over to Al Horford to Marcus Smart in the corner. Smart fakes the 3. He tried to draw a foul. I think he did, but it's on the floor. Marcus Smart drew the foul. He tried to get it on a 3, but he's not going to get it. So 10:53 to go in the second quarter. And Boston still down by 10, searching for offense. Malcolm Brogdon with Gabe Vincent on to inbound the ball. Now over to Jason Tatum. Tatum can get hot in a hurry, but we have not seen much from Boston so far on the offensive end. Now over to Al Horford in the corner. Al Horford kicks to Derek White for a relatively wide open 3. That's a great pass by Al Horford and a wide open 3 for Derek White. That maybe could get him going. 32-25, good shot for Boston. Lowry down the floor to Bam Adebayo in the mid-range. What a pass from Bam Adebayo and a great back cut by Duncan Robinson, and he lays it in again, 34-25. That's another thing about Miami. They've been doing a lot of back cuts and a lot of screening action. That's been helping their offense out tremendously with the spacing because you have to guard them so close, and then when you just blow by them on these back cuts, it gives you relatively easy layups, and it takes the pressure off the guys at the top of the key because then they have more options to either pass or take the jumper instead of it just being taken the jumper. Really good offensive sets by Eric Spoelstra. Miami with the ball again after Boston misses. Caleb Martin, top of the key. His shot is short. Jason Tatum with the rebound over to Derek White. 9:45 to go in the second quarter. Jason Tatum trying to drive by Bam Adebayo, lays it in. That's a good play by Jason Tatum. 34-27. It cuts it down to a 7-point lead for Miami. Now Caleb Martin still with a bunch of confidence. Kicks it out to Duncan Robinson, back to Vincent. 10 on the shot clock, under 9:30 to go in the second quarter. Vincent drives by Marcus Smart, 4-2, and Gabe Vincent scores. Again, all the undrafted players for Miami, look at the confidence. They're going out there and shooting over the Boston Celtics, one of the deepest teams in the NBA. This is fantastic basketball by Miami. They're up by 9. The confidence is there. Jason Tatum misses a three way off the mark. Kyle Lowry down the floor. Kicks to Caleb Martin, back to Lowry, back to Martin. Kicks to Gabe Vincent. He shoots a three, and Gabe Vincent knocks down a three. Miami is rolling right now, 39-27, and they just keep making shots while Jimmy Butler's on the bench. This is huge. You've got your best player on the bench, and Miami's still extending the lead. Jason Tatum to Malcolm Brogdon, to Al Horford in the corner. Big shot for Boston. Al Horford, a much-needed three for the Celtics. 39-30. Miami's up by 9 points. Lowry into the lane again. And right there, just a relatively easy shot by Lowry. Horford tried to guard him. That's just not good defense. Lowry with an easy floater, 41-30. Now Marcus Smart over to Jason Tatum. Tatum's driving in. That's a great play by Tatum off his missed shot. He taps it back home. 41-32. So Boston still with the effort. But if they can't stop Miami, it's not going to matter. The Heat are scoring on almost every possession, it seems. Bam Adebayo in the mid-range, trying to fake out Al Horford. Decides to kick it back out to Duncan Robinson. Robinson into the lane. To Bam Adebayo for a slam dunk. What a play. A two-man game from Duncan Robinson to Bam Adebayo, and he flushes it home. What a dunk, and that's got the crowd on their feet. Marcus Smart pulls for three. It's an air ball. The ball is out of bounds. Miami Heat ball. 7:37 to go in the second quarter, and things are not looking good for Boston. The Miami Heat are rolling and clicking on all cylinders right now. Whether it's three-point shooting, alley-oops, getting to the rim, the free throw line, they're doing everything well right now. That's a fantastic play. 7:25 to go in the second quarter. Lowry to Duncan Robinson, drives in to Caleb Martin, and Caleb Martin scores again. 45-32, like a three, but they're calling it a two. I thought it was a three. We'll have to see if they do count it as a three or not, but regardless, Miami is up by 13 points. Insane. 45-32. Boston has been praised all season long for their depth and the amount of great players they just have on their team. The two J's obviously lead the team, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. But then you go up and down their roster, and they've got a bunch of guys that can play at a high level. But you're just seeing right now with Miami that they're players, the guys that are not, lauded for their athleticism or how many great players that they have. Miami's just going out there and they don't care. They're just playing hard. They don't care if people don't think that they're the best team in the world. They're just proving it game after game that these players are not to be taken lightly, even though they're undrafted. Some of these guys that just were not, counted on to be significant contributors, especially in these type playoff games. This is the first round. This is the conference finals. It doesn't matter, like I said, whether it's Max Strus, Caleb Martin. These guys are just playing at a high level, and it's awesome to see. It just goes to show you sometimes diamond in the rough players that you just did not expect out of college to really be successful in the NBA. They can sometimes have success, whether it's the player development of the Miami Heat or the player within, just wanting to improve and be a part of the National Basketball Association. I mean, it's a big deal. because Boston, they're the 2 seed. Miami's the 8 seed. And granted, I know Miami's had some injuries this year, whether you look at Jimmy Butler missed some time, Tyler Hero missed some time in the regular season. And a lot of teams that had injuries, it really hurt them in the seeding because they lost a lot more games in the regular season than people thought that they would have. So if Miami was healthy all year, Miami's probably a team that you just look at on paper. If they're healthy all season, they're probably a 4 seed right now in these playoffs, maybe a 5 seed, somewhere in that range, 3 to 6, anywhere in there. And Miami probably would have been thought of as a better team. But since they had some injuries, since the record wasn't that great, and they also lost to the Atlanta Hawks in the playing game, and they squeaked in beating the Chicago Bulls the second time around, they got in as an 8 seed. Miami was a team that a lot of people were sleeping on. Yes, Giannis missed 3 games. That was a big reason why Miami was able to win that series. That's completely true. But then again, they built that momentum once Giannis returned. Jimmy Butler was on fire, helped Miami get past the Bucks, and then they played the Knicks. They were able to beat them as well. And now Miami's playing the Boston Celtics, a lot of people's best team in the NBA this season. Even though they didn't finish tops in the East, they were the 2 seed. A lot of people feel and probably still feel and are astonished by the result that's happening because people feel like Boston is the best team, or at least the deepest team in the NBA, even though Denver might be showing that they could possibly be that team. But still, this is insane. This is not supposed to happen. If you're looking at it on paper, Miami, especially with the injuries they have to some of their players, they're not supposed to be here right now. But they're going out and showing you that even if they got some guys down, they're not out. And they're playing at an extremely high level. This is some great basketball from the Miami Heat. And if Boston don't step it up, they're going to lose this game. And they'll be down 3-0 just like the Lakers and probably have no chance to come back. Jeff says, come on, Boston. I completely agree. If they want to win, they need to step on it for sure. But I really appreciate both you and Jackson for being here. Jeff, thank you so much for being here. Jack said the Celtics aren't doing a good job at getting second and third chance points so far. And that's another thing Miami's doing. Miami isn't really missing that many shots either. But when they do, they have gotten some putbacks. They've gotten some offensive rebounds, and they are doing a great job on the defensive glass. Boston is not. Boston is not shooting the ball at a high level right now. And Robert Williams is a guy that usually does rebound at a high level, but he just isn't getting that many opportunities. But Boston, Marcus Smart, he is fouled down low. Very smart play on Marcus Smart. He was shooting the ball in the mid-range. He got hit on the arm. He sold the contact. But Miami, they did count that 3 by Caleb Martin. I thought it was a 3. But they had it as a 2 at first. But it's 46-32. Boston's down by 14 points. Marcus Smart hits the first. 46-33. But this is shocking. I would not have thought that Boston would be down by over 10 points at this stage of the game. I know it's at Miami, but you feel like Boston's just going to give everything they got. But if Boston does not win this game, like I said, it's going to be almost impossible, you would think, for them to be able to win this series. I mean, no team's ever come back from 3 down. It doesn't mean it can't happen. I know Boston has a team that can potentially get it done, but you don't want to go up against the grain. You got to be able to win this game if you're Boston. But if you're Miami, you want to take Boston out now while you can. But Marcus Smart, he missed the second free throw. Ball went out of bounds. It's Miami Heat ball. Duncan Robinson to Bam Adebayo. Jaylen Brown on, and Bam Adebayo put Jaylen Brown in the spin cycle. What a move by Bam Adebayo. What a dunk. That is a fantastic play by Bam Adebayo. And that is only getting the crowd more and more energized. Marcus Smart to Jaylen Brown. Another turnover for Boston. Jimmy Buckets with the ball to Bam Adebayo. Kicks to Duncan Robinson in the corner for 3. 51-33. Miami leads by 18 points. The Heat are trying to take Boston out now in the first half. Miami's hit 8 threes. That's a big reason why Miami's doing such a great job. In the regular season, Miami shot the ball actually fairly poorly from 3, but in these playoffs, they've been great. It's that confidence factor. Marcus Smart in the lane misses the shot. Kyle Lowry down the floor. Kicks over to Duncan Robinson for another 3. He misses that one. If that one had gone in, oh man. 51-33. And now Marcus Smart, I think, bowled into Kyle Lowry. Is that an offensive foul? That might be an offensive foul. I think it is. They're going to get Marcus Smart for an offensive foul 65 feet away from the rim. Unbelievable. You don't see that many offensive fouls 65 feet away from the rim. But Kyle Lowry, he got knocked out of bounds. Oh, did they end up changing the call? I don't know, because they have Kyle Lowry on the bench said 4 personal foul, but it's Miami ball. I think that's a mistake by the graphics team. It has to be a foul on Marcus Smart because Miami has the basketball, but insane. And there's a foul down low on Jaylen Brown for grabbing Bam. This is crazy. 51-33, 5:50 to go in the second quarter. I mean, the Miami Heat are up by almost 20 points. And it goes up and down the roster. It's not even Jimmy Butler. It'd be different if Jimmy Butler like 25 points right now. And you'd be like, well, that's why Miami's winning. It's a team effort here. Butler's had some nice moments, but it is a team effort. And Jimmy Butler draws another foul on Robert Williams. The Boston Celtics can't even defend without fouling at this point, which is something you have to do when you're down big in a game. When you are down big in a game, you have to find a way to be able to defend without fouling, get stops. That's your main key. You got to get stops because it doesn't matter. Boston could go right now on a spree where they score on 5 possessions in a row, but if Miami scores on 5 possessions in a row, it's not going to matter. You got to get stops, and then you got to score. But Boston's not getting stops because they either foul Miami or Miami scores a bucket. And Jimmy Butler, he hits both free throws. Jimmy Butler, a solid free throw shooter, and this is a 20-point game. Unbelievable. 53-33. I bet most people did not think this was going to. I definitely did not. Insane. This is fantastic by Miami. Jason Tatum down the floor. Robert Williams tries to get Jason Tatum's miss, and he finally puts it back home. Good play by Robert Williams. That's definitely what he provides. 53-35, 5:23 to go in the second quarter. I don't know if there is a technical on anybody. There it is. They just showed it. Marcus Smart, he got a technical foul. Probably for saying something. I mean, I get it. You're down by a lot, but you can't have that. You can't have technical fouls when you're down almost 20 points. And Jimmy Butler, he hits the technical foul free throw. We'll see what happened. You've got Marcus Smart. He's got his hands out. He's probably saying something to the ref, saying it was a foul on Robert Williams' shot. That's probably what it was, and the referees teed him up. Not too big a deal there. I mean, Marcus Smart, just frustration. You can't blame him, but you still got to keep your cool, and you just cannot get technical fouls right now. They're showing right now the Heat undrafted players with 33 points, the entire Celtics team 35. And that's counting players like Tatum and Brown, all these guys that were drafted so high. The undrafted players for Miami almost have outscored the Celtics. And now Jimmy Butler doing Jimmy Butler things. 56-35, 21-point lead for Miami. A 10-2 run for the Heat. Does Boston have anything in the tank? Can they get back in the game? Marcus Smart, he's fouled by Gabe Vincent. So that will slow down Miami just a bit, for a little bit anyway. Bam Adebayo's going to the bench to get a breather. A well-deserved breather. He's been playing great. Cody Zeller's back into the game. Maybe Boston can attack him a bit with him defensively, be able to try to get to the rim. But instead, Jaylen Brown pulls from a deep three, and that's not going to get it done because it's a one-and-done trip. You shoot a deep three, you miss. There's no one down there to get the rebound. Cody Zeller snatches up the board. That's not going to get it done for Boston. They need to get to the rim, try to get fouled because at this rate, Miami's just going to keep pouring it on. Jimmy Butler, top of the key. Trying to drive kicks to Robinson instead, and Duncan Robinson three's off the mark. Marcus Smart with a leak out down the floor. Good recovery by Miami on defense. Now it's over to Derek White in the corner. Gets Cody Zeller in the air. Derek White over to Jaylen Brown, and Jaylen Brown goes up over Cody Zeller and lays it in. That's a really good play by Jaylen Brown. 56-37. They need more of that for sure. Drive the basketball. That is your recipe to try to at least get some points on the board. They need stops, but it's not going to happen right here because Duncan Robinson, he hits another three. 59-37. This is a clinic, an absolute clinic by Miami. They are on fire, and their crowd is loving it right now. Marcus Smart down the floor for the Celtics, who are down by 22 points. Grant Williams down the floor, lays it in. 59-39. Insane. A 20-point game. Joe Mazzulla is not calling timeout or anything. Nothing like that. I mean, I don't think at this point a timeout's really going to help, but still it can maybe slow Miami down a bit. They already have called 2 timeouts. Maybe don't want to use them all. save some toward the end of the game, but this is insane. Caleb Martin finally misses a shot close to the rim. Had a pretty good look, but couldn't get it to fall. Now Jason Tatum down the floor to Jaylen Brown. Kicks over to Marcus Smart to Derek White for three, and Derek White cans the triple. 59-42, 3:10 to go in the second quarter. And I think we have a timeout on the floor. So at least for Boston, they have been able to cut it down to 17. But that's still not where they want to be at all. RC covers the WNBA and the NBA. Thanks for stopping by. Really appreciate you for being here. It says only talk sport. What's good, man? Enjoying the game. I hope so. Jimmy Butler is in another world this whole postseason. Completely agree. I'm doing really good. Hope you are doing good as well. I'm enjoying the game for sure, but man, Boston is struggling right now. The Miami Heat are on a roll. And again, if this continues for another half, they will be winning this game. And they'll have a commanding 3-0 lead on Boston, just like Denver has over Los Angeles. But Boston will have to play Game 4 on the road in Miami as well. And I just don't know at that point if Boston's going to have anything left in them. Miami could go in and get it done and do a sweep. We'll have to see. Still getting way ahead of ourselves. Still a lot of time left in this game. Maybe Boston can come back, but not liking what I'm seeing from Boston, really liking what I'm seeing from the Miami Heat right now. The Miami Heat are doing a great job just shutting Boston down, making all their shots tough, and Miami's just getting shot for shots. It was initiated by Jimmy Butler passing to his teammates, and once they get going, they're hard to stop. And it's just a complete team effort. RC says Boston is hopeless, broken, exposed. Their hearts are emptied already. It seems all I can say is fire Joe Mazzulla, clearly Amendola got more out of the troops. Well, I mean, that's an interesting take for sure. I mean, it's only year one with Mazzulla. I have no idea. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Don't know if they'll fire him or not if they do lose a series like 4-0. That wouldn't be a good look at all, but I don't know if they will fire him. But definitely very interesting for sure. But I do think that right now, Boston is, I wouldn't say looking hopeless, but they don't look very confident. They definitely look more defeated than confident. Still a lot of time, but I agree with you. It's definitely not looking good for Boston. It's going to be very interesting to see what they decide to do with Joe Mazzulla, if they keep him after this year or not. Nuggets Heat Finals matchup. So it's very interesting. I mean, definitely looking more and more possible for you, Jackson, that will be the case. I know people want the Nuggets to get to their first finals. That would be so cool for the Denver Nuggets to get to their first finals. That would be awesome. They've never in their whole franchise history been to a finals, which is insane. I mean, you think about all the times that Denver has been in the playoffs. It's not like they're one of the newer franchises. They've been around for a while. They've had some great players back in the past. They've got a catalog of players that are really solid. They've never just had that complete team, and they've never been to the finals. And now they're one game away. Just one game away from their first NBA Finals. That would be so cool. And for the Miami Heat, I just think the underdog story. The fact that they're an 8 seed and they get all the way to the finals will be insane because no one expected. I mean, an 8 seed isn't supposed to do it. They're not supposed to go all the way to a finals. You have 7 teams ahead of you. But again, it's showing you in this 2023 NBA playoffs that if you believe and you're playing at a high level, any team can get to a finals. But Miami and Denver not out of the woods yet. You got to finish the job. You're not out of the woods until the series is done. So we'll have to see what happens. But right now, Boston is in a world of trouble with the way that the Miami Heat are playing right now. And if they continue to play at this high of a level, there's a really good chance Miami will be moving on to the conference finals to potentially face Denver if they finish off the Lakers. It would definitely be the unexpected for sure. Not what many people were predicting coming in this 2023 NBA playoffs. More people probably picked Denver, but I know a lot of people thought the Lakers or maybe the Warriors could do it because Denver had never gotten there before. It's tough to predict a team that's never done it before, but this is a different Denver team, and this is a Miami team with a lot of confidence. Caleb Martin just missed a 3 in the corner. Now Boston down the floor. Jason Tatum trying to make a move, gets in the lane, kicks in the corner to Jaylen Brown. 2:30 to go in the second quarter. Jaylen Brown driving into the lane. Now to Marcus Smart, top of the key. Marcus Smart over to Jason Tatum in the corner for a step-back 3, and that's an air ball. It's just a tough shot. And then Jaylen Brown misses a layup. Jaylen Brown missed an easy 1-foot layup. That's just the kind of night Boston's having right now. Jimmy Butler being double-teamed. That's good defense from Boston. Derek White down the floor. Derek White all the way to the rim. He misses, and then Grant Williams follows it up. That's a good play by Grant Williams. 59-44, 15-point game. Boston with a little bit of momentum potentially before the half. Gabe Vincent, top of the key. 1:50 to go in the second quarter. Now Jimmy Butler with Marcus Smart on him. Gabe Vincent pump fakes on Jaylen Brown for three, and Miami starting to miss some shots. Derek White with the ball. Derek White down the floor. He goes up strong. Good block by Cody Zeller. That's a fantastic weak side block. He erased that shot by Derek White. Good play by Zeller. And then down the floor and one for Jimmy Buckets. 61-44. That's insane. That is a fantastic play by Jimmy Butler. Drives down the floor, takes contact, has hang time, off glass, lays it in. That is a fantastic play. A lot of contact. Took it right to Grant Williams. Still probably thinking about 2 nights ago. They're showing Grant Williams' face right there. You can tell he is frustrated. Grant Williams went straight up, but he got a lot of body. Very good play by Jimmy Butler. Can Jimmy Butler finish off the three-point play, put Miami up by 18? He is not. Goes in and out. Looked like Grant Williams almost got a lane violation, but that's not called. Like he was able to recover before he got it. Tatum to Marcus Smart over to Jaylen Brown. Boston just looks out of sorts. Now over to Derek White. And there's a foul down low. Looks like Caleb Martin and Marcus Smart got tangled up a little bit. But definitely not much has gone wrong for the Miami Heat in this first half. They've cooled off a little bit the last couple of minutes, but they've been great in this first half. Boston has just been struggling, looking all out of sorts. Boston will be inbounding. Derek White will be the inbounder. Got Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Grant Williams, Marcus Smart on the floor. For Miami, you got Max Strus, Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, Bam Adebayo, and Jimmy Butler. 1:10 to go in the second quarter. Marcus Smart, top of the key. Over to Jaylen Brown, 4-3. It's an air ball. Max Strus with the rebound. Now you've got Bam Adebayo bringing the ball up the floor, trying to drive on Derek White. Now to Jimmy Butler. Butler goes up strong, kicks back to Bam. Now it's over to Max Strus. 50 seconds left in the second quarter. Jimmy Butler with 5 seconds at the top of the key. He's going to have to make a play. 3 seconds left. Off the dribble, takes a tough step back too, and it's an air ball. Great defense from Boston. They're going to need a lot more of that if they want to get back in this game. Jason Tatum down the floor. He loses the basketball, but they call it off of the Miami Heat. So it will remain Boston ball. The halftime report will be coming up in just 39 seconds, but this has been a first half dominated by the Miami Heat. Boston has cut it down a little bit from the 22-point lead Miami had. It's down to 17. Make that 15 with a great play by Marcus Smart. What a drive and finish by Marcus Smart right there. That was a great play. 30 seconds left. Bam Adebayo to Max Strus. Max Strus misses another three. Again, Miami starting to miss some shots. Jaylen Brown down the floor. Over to Marcus Smart. Boston could have the last shot of the half. There's only a 1 second differential between shot clock and game clock. 13 seconds left. 61-46. Jaylen Brown takes a three with 10 seconds left. He misses the shot. So Miami will have a chance. Jimmy Butler down the floor. Under 5 seconds to go. 3 seconds. 2 seconds. Jimmy Butler 4-3 in the corner. His shot is another air ball, and that is the half. 61-46. It looks like the referee accidentally got knocked over, but it looks like he is okay. Hopefully he'll be able to shake that off. But Miami, what a first half from the Heat. 61-46. Miami was fantastic in that first half. They definitely struggled a little bit in the last couple minutes, but they dominated from wire to wire in that first half. The Boston Celtics, as is, it's not going to be enough for them to win this game. They're going to have to give a lot more effort in the second half if they want to be able to win a game on the road against Miami. If they lose, they'll be down 3-0, probably done in the series more than likely. Boston, just not the same team that we saw in the season. With the depth they have, they just are not bringing it like they were before. They just look like a team that just isn't, I wouldn't say giving it 100%. I think they're playing hard, but they just aren't all there either. They're just, as a team, they're just not all there. Miami is. They're connected. And you could tell they want to win. And every player that goes out on the floor is giving it 110%. With Boston, that just doesn't seem to be the case. It's just does not like a unit right now. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But right now, the way Boston is playing, it does not inspire a lot of confidence that they'll be able to come back and win this game. Miami is just playing very well, and Boston's just really struggling. Paper does not win you games. And even though Boston is the deeper team, even though Boston is the team that everybody thought would win this series more than likely, Boston beat Miami last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. And Boston has the exact same team as they had this past season, except they've got Malcolm Brogdon now. They basically added to their team. Robert Williams is healthy now. I mean, that's the insane thing. Boston went all the way to the finals this past season, and they played the Golden State Warriors, and they lost, and Robert Williams was out hurt, and you didn't have Malcolm Brogdon. Now you have Malcolm Brogdon, and you also have Robert Williams healthy, and Boston looks worse this season, which is insane. It's not to say they haven't had good games. They've had some good games in these playoffs, and no team's perfect. No team's going to play at a high level every single game, but Boston looked better this past season in the playoffs in 2022, which is insane. They got to the finals, and now it looks like there's a good chance they're not even going to make the finals this year. It's crazy. I mean, it is definitely unexpected, but it just goes to show you cannot get to a finals based on talent alone, based on depth alone. You still got to play at a high level. And again, I do not think Boston's completely done, but the way Miami's playing, you can tell they want it. They want to get there. They want to go to the finals. They want to prove they can do it, and they deserve it the way they're playing. But they'll have to keep it up for another half here and then win another game. We'll have to see. But again, Boston just not looking like the team we were accustomed to in the regular season and last year as well. RC says, Jackson, you hope, laughing aloud. What else are you going to get you wanting? The Charlotte Bobcats versus the New Jersey Nets in a parallel universe, laughing aloud. These conference finals have disappointed. That's hilarious on the Charlotte Bobcats versus the New Jersey Nets. That would be insane. Or like bring back the Seattle Supersonics, maybe the Cincinnati Royals from back in the 60s and 70s. Who knows? It's funny for sure. But I do think, to your point, that people were thinking both of these series would go further than this. And I thought they would too. I mean, I made predictions for it. I had both. I had the Denver Lakers series going to 7 games. I had the Boston-Miami series going to 6 games. I thought that both series would last very far into it, but very long, almost as long as possible, regardless of whoever won. It didn't matter who won, I just thought that they would be close. But as we're seeing right now, it's not the case. And it's not over yet by any means. Either series, even though mathematically the Denver-LA series is over because Denver's up 3-0 and no team's ever come back. So mathematically it's over, but it's never over until finally Denver wins the last game that they need to win. But I don't think anybody really thought that either of these series were going to be blowouts. Maybe more people thought the Boston-Miami one would be, but Boston would be the one that was beating Miami, probably. But Miami's beating Boston. With Denver-LA, Denver's just doing a great job. Los Angeles, I don't think they've played poorly, but Denver's just doing a much better job than Los Angeles with their depth. It's crazy. Jackson says, so true to RC. I agree. RC also says the Lakers have fought hard and play hard for the most part, but the end result is always them walking away with an L. Clearly the better squad belongs to Denver. I did not even see your comment. I hadn't read it yet. And you're absolutely right, RC. I completely agree with you. Like you said, I think the Lakers have played well. But to your point, playing well doesn't get you wins. You got to win the game. It doesn't matter what you got to do to win the game. You have to give it everything you've got. You can play really well, and, you can look back on it when the series is over between Denver and the Lakers, say, oh, that was a good series. The Lakers played hard. They gave everything they had, but they still lost. They still are down 3-0 regardless of how hard they've played. With Boston, I think Boston has another gear in them they just haven't reached, especially in this series. Boston had some moments in the 76ers series, a couple bad games, but they still look better than they do currently. I don't know what it is. I mean, you look at game 2, Marcus Smart just did not have the game he normally has. I mean, he's a guy that is a pest. He usually puts up 14, 15 points, and he's a guy that is getting steals. He's just impacting the game with his defensive presence, making it so tough on the other team. Marcus Smart's impact's not there. Grant Williams is coming in, and usually the impact he has, it's negatively affecting Boston. And now he just kind of looks like, he's just flat right now after what happened in the last game. And Tatum and Brown, it's not like either of them are playing awful. I mean, Tatum's had some great games in these playoffs. He's had a few great games. Same with Jaylen Brown. But it just doesn't really seem like both players have played in many games. And that's when Boston is at their best, when both of them are playing great. It just seems like one well and the other struggling. And that's not going to get it done. Because you look at the Denver Nuggets. Jamal Murray had a fantastic first half in game 3. And then Nikola Jokic had a great fourth quarter. And in that third quarter, that was the quarter of the contributors for Denver. So at any point in the game, somebody or some bodies were doing great for Denver. With Boston, it's an issue of they're not getting all of their players to play well at any time in any game. And that's the issue. Boston might have the depth, but it doesn't matter if that depth isn't going out there and playing at a high level, at any point in the game. Like if Jason Tatum's really struggling in the first half, Jaylen Brown has to step up and play well. And then if Jaylen Brown starts to go cold, that's when Jason Tatum starts to play better or has to play better for Boston. That's what you have to have. And then if one of them's in foul trouble and the other's struggling, that's when you get contributions from Marcus Smart, Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon. And this was happening earlier this season. Boston was doing this earlier this year, but it stopped. For whatever reason, it's just stopped. Tonight, it's not happening. Tatum and Brown, they've been average in the first half, and then the rest of their team's just not really getting anything going. Malcolm Brogdon hasn't hit a shot. He's been off. And Derek White, he's hit a couple shots, but it's just not enough. With Miami, it's the opposite. In the regular season, Miami was flat. Miami was average, and they were a 500 team. Yes, they had some injuries going on with Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, some other players, but they were average. Miami, though, as the season's gone along, especially toward the end, and now, especially the last probably 10 games, Miami has been one of the best shooting teams in the NBA. They couldn't shoot the ball at a high level at all in the regular season. But now the guys that couldn't make a shot, Duncan Robinson didn't even play for Miami for like a month. And now he had 15 points in their last game, and he's still playing, and he's knocking down threes. I mean, you go from having a guy that you're not even playing, you're paying him $16 million a year because he was doing a great job, but you quit playing him because he doesn't, not a great defender. But now you're playing Duncan Robinson, and Duncan Robinson's making threes. He's making 3 after 3. He's knocking down shots, and he's been one of, the better bench players for Miami, especially since Max Strus, Gabe Vincent are in the starting lineup. Caleb Martin also coming off the bench. He's had some big games. It's just crazy that Miami has been the polar opposite of Boston. Boston played better in the regular season. They've been slumping through these playoffs. Miami struggled in the regular season, but they're rolling through these playoffs. It's crazy how it works. But at the end of the day, what matters is the playoffs. You can have a great regular season. Look at the Bucks. You won an NBA title, but then the other years, the Bucks lost early in the playoffs. Mike Budenholzer's gone. These teams want to win. They want to win in the playoffs. That's when it matters. Same thing with the NCAA tournament. So many coaches have a great regular season record, go to the NCAA tournament, lose first game, and then they get fired. And then people are like, why did he get fired? He was making tournaments. Well, he lost in the first round. And that's just not what people want. People want to go to finals. People want to win titles. And I get that. But sometimes it's players. I don't know if Joe Mazzulla is not putting Boston in the best spots. If that's a potential reason why he, maybe isn't ready for an NBA coaching job or not. I have no idea. I mean, he is the youngest coach in the NBA at 34. It's just his first coaching job as a head coach at the NBA level or at the highest level of basketball. I have no idea. But for whatever reason, Boston just does not look connected right now. I mean, they are a team that in the regular season, I saw games where Boston was beating teams 140 to 110. I mean, they were on fire. They looked like the most dominant team in the league. And yeah, they were inconsistent sometimes, but it seemed like those inconsistencies were rare. Now they've just cropped up. They've cropped up at the wrong time, and it's just not looking good for Boston. I mean, again, Miami is 24 minutes away from mathematically potentially ending the series for Boston, which is insane. If you have both Miami and Denver up 3-0 and these series could be done in one more game, that is definitely not what people were expecting for sure. Just insane. Jackson says, when the Nuggets and Heat are set to play each other in the NBA Finals, who do you think wins the Finals? I mean, rational thinking and logic would say it's Denver because they've got the depth. Look at the way they're playing right now. They look unstoppable. But using that logic, you could say the same thing. Boston was supposed to beat Miami. So it's really hard to count Miami out at this point, the way they're playing. So even though on paper, Denver's deeper, Denver is probably a better team, I think that it's hard to count Miami out. So I really have no idea at this point. I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, I think at this point in the NBA, they're going just so many teams can beat any team at any given time. It makes it very hard to predict. So, I mean, you would say probably that you would think it would be Denver. And that's probably who I'd lean with right now, the way Denver is playing until proven otherwise. But Miami could get it done if that's the case. See, RC said exactly the same thing. You're 100% right, RC. Nuggets have a slightly more complete team. Jackson, how the Heat have fused together a well-knit group indeed. I think unless Bam can somewhat limit Jokic, the Nuggets win in 6. Completely agree with you. I mean, like you said, the Nuggets have a more complete team. They have the deeper team. They have more guys that can punish you. But Miami, the way they're playing right now, they're just proving the depth theory. Because even though Miami perceivably doesn't have a lot of depth, their players are going out there, the ones you're not expecting to play at a high level just are. And like you said, RC, I completely agree with you. If Bam can limit Jokic, then it's possible that Miami can keep it closer. But since Jokic is such an offensive talent with his passing and his scoring, it's going to be hard for Bam not to give up 35, 40 points to Jokic. And then if Jamal Murray is playing like Jamal Murray is right now and the Jamal Murray that was in the bubble, and then the rest of the team keeps playing at a high level, you feel like Denver would win. The way Denver's playing right now, Denver will beat Miami. But you never know. Denver could go on a cold spell. Denver could win this series and then play Miami and just fall apart. You never know. You just never know. But I do think that the way Denver's playing right now, they're the better team. They should win their first NBA title ever. But if they start to not play as high of a level, Miami could get it done if they beat the Celtics. Don't want to get ahead of yourself, but definitely is trending toward a Miami-Denver finals. Jeff says, I don't think Boston is done yet. I don't think they're done yet either. I mean, 15 points in the NBA is not that big a deficit. I know it looks big, but you look at college basketball, you're down by 15 and it's almost over. But you're in the NBA, teams to score so quickly. Like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown could hit 3 threes in a row. Both of them just go on a roll, and then they're back and front. You just never know with the NBA. Players can score so quickly, and then you call timeout, and then you go out of the timeout, and the team that you're trying to slow down on that timeout, it doesn't slow them down. You can go on a 25-5 run. I mean, we saw Denver against the Lakers at one point go on like a 28-3 run. I mean, it can happen. So Boston, I wouldn't say that they're done, but the fact that this game is on the road at Miami, their crowd is engaged, Miami is engaged, it's very difficult. It'll be hard-pressed to see Boston coming back, but I don't think it's impossible. RC says a match to keep your eye on would be to see how Jamal Murray performing against Jimmy Butler and vice versa. I expect for them to both put up numbers. I mean, I agree with that. Jamal Murray is such an important player for Denver because of the fact, even though Denver's other players like Caldwell Pope, Bruce Brown, those guys, Jeff Green, Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, et cetera, they've all been great at times in these playoffs for Denver. They've had their games. Like Caldwell Pope in one game ran like 25. Bruce Brown had a big game, ran over 20 points. They've all had big games. But the only other legitimate star is Jamal Murray. And Jokic understands that. The team understands that. When Jamal Murray's playing at a high level, Denver is almost unbeatable. Because if you have the other players playing well, doing their roles and playing them at a high level, and then you have Jokic doing what he does, and then Jamal Murray pours in 30, 35, you see what Denver's doing. They're winning. Jamal Murray in all 3 of these games has scored over 30 points against the Lakers, and they've won all 3 games. If Jamal Murray against Miami has a game where he scores 15, it's not that Denver can't win, because Denver did win a game against Phoenix where he only had 19. And Caldwell Pope, I would think that was the game he had like 25 points. But still, Denver is almost unbeatable when Jamal Murray's scoring the ball at a high level because Jokic is going to get his. And then the rest of the team, they've been chipping in so well. And I think they feed off the energy of Jamal Murray. He's the best pure bucket getter they got, even though they've got other players that can create their own shot. But Jamal Murray is so important. With Jimmy Butler, I mean, he has to score because he's the guy. But for Miami, I mean, if Jimmy Butler has 30 points, but Max Strus, Duncan Robinson aren't making shots, they're not going to win. So I would say for Miami, yes, you have to have Jimmy Butler playing great basketball, but they need their role players. They have to have the role players to win. With Denver, if Jamal Murray has 35, 40 points and Jokic has 30, 35 points, he doesn't score that much because he passes so much, but he can score that much. But just say he has 25 points, 12 assists, 12 boards, a prototypical game for him. There's a good chance Denver's winning anyway. But with Miami, Jimmy Butler has to have Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Bam Adebayo scoring at a high level. Because right now, Bam Adebayo is the closest thing to a second star Miami has at this point. Because they don't really have one. They just don't have a secondary star Tyler Hero, when he was in, was a really good player. Bam Adebayo was a really good player. They're getting better, but they don't have a secondary star. That's Jimmy Butler. He's the guy. With Denver, though, they got two. They got Jamal Murray, they got Jokic, and then they got a plethora of role players. It's very interesting. I think that the Jimmy Butler-Jamal Murray matchup is going to be huge for sure. Whoever plays better is important, but I would argue for Miami, it's more the role players, and for Denver, Murray's more important. Because if he plays well, it almost guarantees Denver will win. It doesn't guarantee it completely, but it almost does, which is crazy. Just shows you how good Denver is. Jackson, I greatly look forward to watching the one-on-one match between Jamal Murray and Jimmy Butler. It's going to be fun. I 100% agree. That should be awesome. Jackson, Kyle Lowry's in big trouble. Yeah, I saw the fourth foul. Still don't see how he has 4 fouls because I thought that was a foul on Marcus Smart. But if he does have 4 fouls, that is tough on him for sure. But I really do appreciate all you guys for being here so far. Means a lot, so much. Thank you guys a lot. But the third quarter is starting. 61-46 Miami with a huge lead on Boston, up by 15 points. 11:50 to go in the third. Can Boston make a comeback? We'll have to see. And right out of the gate, Miami does turn the basketball over. So that definitely will help Boston potentially get the first points of the second half in the third quarter. We'll have to see if Boston can hit a bucket right here to potentially cut down the lead of Miami. That's what Boston has to do. Go on a quick 7-0 run, make Eric Spoelstra call timeout. That's what Boston has to do. Much tougher when you're on the road and don't have a lot of confidence. But Jason Tatum, he can score in a hurry. We'll have to see if he has more in the tank. Tatum, top of the key. Kicks over to Jaylen Brown in the corner for 3. Jaylen Brown's off the mark. Marcus Smart with the ball. Somehow Marcus Smart got that from Bam Adebayo, and Marcus Smart scores. And one, I think, as well. He was fouled, but that was an insane play by Marcus Smart. He ripped that ball away from 2 guys, Bam and Caleb Martin, and he scored off balance, and he got the and one. That is Marcus Smart impacting the game. Boston definitely needs more of that. And Marcus Smart hits the free throw, so it's a 12-point game. Very important for Boston to score first in the second half. 61-49. Gabe Vincent, however, on the other end, scoring for Miami. And if that's what Miami's going to keep having easy shots at the rim like that, Miami will win. Gabe Vincent with a really good drive to the rim. And then Al Horford with an air ball. So the ball will be going back the other way. 11:05 to go in the third quarter. Miami with a 14-point lead. Jimmy Butler has the ball being guarded by Derek White. Off the dribble, good screen by Bam Adebayo. Jimmy Butler driving in on the smaller Derek White with a step back 2, and that's a good shot by Jimmy Butler. And I think they're going to get Derek White for that foul. You could potentially argue that that was one of those plays where Jimmy Butler kicked his leg out, so it should have been an offensive foul. But I do think that he got him a little bit with the body. Maybe they're saying that he didn't allow Jimmy Butler to land. It's one of those bang-bang plays. That's a really tough play to call because it could go either way. See, Jimmy Butler only has 11 points, 4 boards, and 4 assists and 2 steals. Now 12 points. He just hit the free throw, 66-49. He only has 12 points. It's because Miami's depth's getting the job done. He is definitely proud of his teammates for sure. Jaylen Brown with the ball. Boston in a deep hole down by 17. He makes it 15 again. Good play by Jaylen Brown. Get to the rim. That's what Boston needs to do, and they need to do more of that. 10:30 to go in the third quarter. Jimmy Butler bringing the ball down the floor to Bam Adebayo. Al Horford on, back down to Jimmy Butler on the right block. Definitely a matchup Butler can win on Derek White. Out to Max Strus for 3, and Max Strus hits another one. 69-51, and it's up to an 18-point lead again. And every time Boston cuts down the lead a little bit, Miami responds. They just keep on coming. Jason Tatum kicks to Al Horford for 3, and Boston cannot respond. Jimmy Butler with the rebound, and there is a foul, I think, on the Boston Celtics. Now, Marcus Smart and Caleb Martin are talking. Do not think that there's any negative words exchanged, but you don't want anything to get out of hand. But, man, Boston just can't get anything going. Miami's controlling the offensive and defensive glass. And Jimmy Butler passing the ball to Caleb Martin and Max Strus for open threes has been one of the biggest plays of the game. Over and over for Miami. It just keeps on happening. He's given so much confidence to his teammates. hitting these big shots. Max Strus, Caleb Martin hitting these big shots and rewarding Jimmy Butler for passing the basketball. That's what you got to do. You got to be unselfish, and then you got to hope your teammates make the shots, and they are. But what's going on down low? They're reviewing a play. I don't know. There is a foul down low. I think they're looking at Marcus Smart, potentially maybe hooking Caleb Martin. Don't know if it's a flagrant foul or not, but they're reviewing it nonetheless. But we'll have to see. They're reviewing it. RC says this thing is a trainer of completely epic proportions. The only tough sport in Japan, the real 8 seed is Boston. I mean, the way they're playing right now, you're not wrong at all. Boston, the way they're playing, definitely looks like the 8 seed. Miami looks like the 2 seed. I mean, there's a long way to go yet, but I agree with you. It has definitely been a train wreck for Boston. I just think it's one of those things where Boston keeps finding ways to lose. They lost game 1 in close fashion, and then they lost game 2 kind of in close fashion again, but it just seems to be to me that they're losing their confidence. And when you're a team that loses your confidence and the other team is just starting to pour it on and they're gaining confidence, sometimes you just struggle. Because I still feel like Boston's the better team. But just because Boston's the better team doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything at all. Boston has to play like the better team, and they're not right now. So we'll have to see what they call. Still 9:58 to go in the third quarter. Marcus Smart is talking to the refs, so that probably means that there's a foul against him. I don't know. It like he did hook Caleb Martin. I don't think it's a flagrant, though. Doesn't look like anybody's going to the foul line. I don't think it was a flagrant foul. It just should be a play on, and it is a play on. Good call by the referees. So Jimmy Butler bringing the ball off the floor to Bam Adebayo. 69-51. 9:50 to go in the third quarter. Miami up by 18. A comfortable lead, but can never get too comfortable with a lead. Got to keep on trucking and scoring more points. Jimmy Butler, top of the key, trying to drive by Al Horford, and there's an offensive foul. I think they call an offensive foul on Bam Adebayo. He does not like that call at all. Don't know if maybe he moved his foot on the screen. We'll have to see. I don't know. It wasn't too bad. Like maybe he pushed Grant Williams just a little bit. Crazy that Grant Williams is already back into the game for Boston this early in the third quarter, maybe trying to get some physicality. And there's an offensive foul on Al Horford. So we've gone from offensive foul to offensive foul. Al Horford looks incredulous on that play. He's like, what did I do? Let's see what he did. It looks like he ran into Bam Adebayo and Bam sold it. Bam Adebayo sold it. Definitely players are good at selling fouls in the NBA, but wow. Al Horford with the offensive foul there. Now Max Strus off the dribble to Bam Adebayo, and Bam Adebayo tears the roof off. What an alley-oop play. That's the second big slam dunk for Bam Adebayo. That is an insane play. Marcus Smart misses on the other and no foul call. Gabe Vincent down the floor, shoots a three, and it's good. 74-51. And Boston continues to fall apart. They're down by 23. 8:59 to go in the third quarter, but that was a sick play. That alley-oop pass to Bam Adebayo, and he slammed it home. That was an incredible dunk. It tore the roof off the place. Miami's fans are on their feet. What a play. And then Gabe Vincent with the confidence to go back down the floor in transition, pull up from three, knock it down, nothing but nylon. And now Boston's in a hole that might be becoming too insurmountable. Again, Boston is a team that can score in a hurry. They've got some great players, but the way they're looking right now, they're down by 23. They're still around 19 minutes to go in the game. But Boston is in a world of trouble. And it's not the lack of, concern from Boston. I mean, you can tell that they're upset with the way things are going. The urgency is just not where it needs to be. If you're Boston, you're down this much, you can't panic and start chunking up shots 5 seconds in the shot clock, but you got to find a way to get some good plays. And you got to get Miami kind of reeling a bit. Put pressure on Miami. Get it to around 10. If you can get it to around 10 or so, that would kind of get Miami's fans a little nervous. Oh, no, they're coming back. Miami's players are going to have more game pressure. Because when you're up big, it's easy. Miami's just going out there, and they're just knocking down three after three. They've got all the confidence in the world. Boston isn't even close right now. If Boston could put some game pressure on Miami, maybe that could start to make Miami miss some shots, and it could help Boston get back in the game. I mean, you can almost argue when you're down by this much, if you're Boston, it would make it almost easier because you're not really in any game pressure either. You're down big, and it's not looking good for you right now. So just go out there and play. Just almost treat it not like a pickup game, but just go out there and play like you would if you're not under any pressure. Just try to get some good possessions in a row. String some possessions together. And if you can get it around 10 to 12, make Eric Spoelstra call timeout, get some good juices flowing your way. That puts game pressure on Miami. You can get back into the game, and then the intensity starts to creep up because then you believe, well, hey, we still have a chance. We could complete the epic comeback and get it to 2-1, and we'll still have a great chance potentially to win the series. But that's not what we're seeing for Boston. They're just going out there, and it's flat. They're flat, and their play is just not getting anything done. And whenever Miami makes a mistake, Boston just compounds it with a mistake of their own. When Miami makes a mistake, Boston has to capitalize on that. Boston's got to go out there and start making some shots, but they're not. And it is what it is. It just does not look like Boston is going to be able to win this game. Still plenty of time. Never want to count it out till it's over. But if you're a Boston Celtics fan, you're definitely frustrated right now with the way this game's going and probably not very confident that Boston's going to be able to come back. Down by 23 points, 8:59 to go in the third quarter, and Miami is just pouring it on. Just this Boston so far looks like a train wreck. For sure. I mean, it's just not been a good game. Not what most people were probably expecting. And I wouldn't blame them. I wasn't expecting it either. I thought it would be a really close game either way. I maybe felt like Boston had a shot here to potentially be able to win because of the fact, the circumstance, the way the game is going. Didn't really feel like Miami would just slam dunk this thing. Feel like Boston had a really good chance to be able to steal one at Miami, maybe make the series more manageable again, but it's not looking good. There might be a technical foul, though, because Jason Tatum's at the line, and he shot a free throw in. So I don't know what happened. Maybe Miami, on the way to the sideline on the timeout, got a technical foul for saying something, but that's not smart. If you're Miami, do not want to give Boston free points. They called it on Max Strus. Very interesting there. Don't know what he did. Probably maybe said something. But Miami up by 22 over Boston. Jackson says, Jeff, the Celtics are a disaster tonight, 100%. Marcus Smart, top of the key, being guarded by undrafted player and Gabe Vincent, but definitely not looking like an undrafted player. And Jason Tatum with a much-needed 2 for Boston. That cuts it to 20. So you get a technical foul free throw and a 20-point game. And now Boston needs some stops. Gabe Vincent with the basketball. 8:30 to go in the third quarter. Top of the key, Marcus Smart guard Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent with a turnaround 3, and Gabe Vincent's feeling it. 77-54, 23-point game. Wow, Miami just keeps pouring it on. Gabe Vincent with 18 points. He's 4 or 5 from 3. Gabe Vincent has been great for Miami in this game. He's had several great games in these playoffs for Miami. Jason Tatum with a response 3. He can't make the shot. Jimmy Butler with the board. 8:10 to go in the third quarter. Jimmy Butler down the floor, and now there's a foul on Al Horford. Fouling Bam Adebayo. Al Horford's upset. You could tell immediately when that foul was called that he was frustrated right there, but it is what it is. That's one of those plays where I know you're trying to maybe keep Bam Adebayo from getting to his spot, but you cannot foul in this situation. If you're Boston, you got to do everything you possibly can not to foul. Fouls are your worst enemy right now. You're down big. You got to get clean possession, clean stops. Max Strus with the ball. Over to Bam Adebayo. Back to Max Strus. To Bam Adebayo again. Bam Adebayo tried to throw the house down again. He could not get that slam dunk to fall. But another foul on Boston, this time on Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum taking the brunt of that from Bam Adebayo. What contact right there. Bam Adebayo almost had a big slam dunk, but a big foul on Jason Tatum. And now there will be 2 free throws. Right now, Boston just cannot get a stop. Bam Adebayo for a center, not a bad free throw shooter by any means. And when you're up, it's much easier to hit free throws because there's not a lot of game pressure. 78-54. The start of the game, Boston was favored by 5. Currently, Miami's favored by almost 16 points. What a turnaround. You don't see a much bigger spread differential than that. That's almost a 20-point swing. Around a 20-point swing. Bam Adebayo hits the second free throw, 79-54. A 25-point lead for Miami. They're showing Pat Riley, the former Miami coach, on the sideline. Definitely happy the Heat are doing well. 25-point lead for Miami. Definitely wasn't expecting that for sure. 7:40 to go on the third. Grant Williams for Boston drives into the lane with a floater. Good play by Grant Williams. And that's all Boston can ask for right now is a bucket to go in. Now Miami on the offensive end where they have been elite in this game offensively. Jimmy Butler, top of the key. Drives into the lane. Robert Williams is guarding him. Back to Bam. Almost a foul by Grant Williams, but he didn't get the call. Jimmy Butler for two in the mid-range. His shot went in and out. It looked like that was going to go in, and the way Miami's been playing tonight, you would have expected it to go in. Jason Tatum drives in the lane. What a block by Bam Adebayo. Somehow the ball stayed in bounds. I do not know how it stayed in bounds. Jimmy Butler over to Gabe Vincent. He fakes the three. Now over to Caleb Martin for three, and his shot is in. Well, I don't know if it was a 3 or a 2, but they called it a 2 again. 81-56, 25-point lead for Miami. 6:40 to go in the third. Jason Tatum turns it over. Caleb Martin up the floor to Max Strus, and he lays it in. 83-56. Another timeout for Boston. What can Joe Mazzulla do? What can Joe Mazzulla do? He's called another timeout. They have 3 left. But I don't know at this point if any timeout's going to help. Miami is firing on all cylinders. This is insane. They're up by 27. Potentially 28 if it's a 3 from Caleb Martin again. They called it a 2. Looked like it might have been a 3, but regardless, it does not matter. What a game by the Miami Heat. RC says Miami Heat have eaten 3 buckets of barbecue chicken on the 4-heel bill of the Celtics, basically playing with the Celtics nearly 3 times in a row. That's crazy right there. That's a funny one, but yeah, I mean, you're right. Miami is cooking right now. I mean, you just cannot beat this performance from Miami. I mean, this is a game Boston shockingly down 2-0, losing both games at home. And now you got to go on the road, potentially in a must-win game at Miami to be able to salvage their chances in the series. It'd be different if they were down like 3, but they're down by 27. And Miami has all these undrafted players that are playing so well. Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson. I mean, I understand it doesn't matter if you're undrafted. If you go to pro and you're undrafted and you play at a high level, that's just you and maybe, your team helping you out get better and the effort you put in that you're playing at a high level. But it's just crazy that Miami has this many players that were not expected to stick around in the NBA. And in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Boston Celtics, arguably the most talented team in the NBA, unless you say now the Denver Nuggets because of the way they're playing. And you've got Miami outplaying Boston by a mile at this point. Now, it's not even barely. It's by a long shot. Miami is just, again, clicking on all cylinders with players that are not expected to do this. They've got Tyler Hero, a former lottery pick. Victor Oladipo, the former second pick in the draft. Yes, he's had injury issues. Both those guys are out. And that's insane. 2 guys, especially Tyler Hero, that contribute a lot for Miami. He averaged like 20 points this past season. Victor Oladipo averaged around 10. That's 30 points Miami does not even have. And the fact that Miami is going out there and they're up by 27 points. Yes, this game's at home. It would be different if Boston was up 2-0. If Boston had won both of their home games and then Miami needed this game because they were down 2-0 and they had to win this game and then they were up by 27. That would be different because it'll be like this is a response game by Miami. No big deal. Boston's dropping this one. Maybe even if they drop the next game, at Miami will only be 2-2. But it's the fact that Boston down 2-0 and Miami is up by 27. They smell victory. They smell a series win here. And you can tell Miami is out for a win. They want to win. You can just see it. It's crazy. But I don't know. Like I said, Boston just looks flat. And I don't know if they're going to have enough in the tank. Joe Mazzulla's trying. I mean, he's calling timeout after timeout. But at this point, it's not working. If it's not working, it just isn't working. Jeff says, I agree. I just don't get it. I don't really either. It's crazy. Jackson says, if Ime Udoka wasn't having his issues when he got fired, he'd still have a job as head coach of the Celtics, and the Celtics wouldn't be getting beat in the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, who knows? I mean, it is what it is. The past is the past, unfortunately. But, I mean, to your point, I mean, if Ime Udoka was the coach, maybe they'd be doing better. I have no idea. but we'll never know. But right now, the present is the present, and Boston is struggling. Malcolm Brogdon, a missed three. Caleb Martin with the rebound. I mean, it was an open look for Brogdon, but he hasn't made a shot today. He is really struggling. Jimmy Butler at the top of the key. 6:20 to go in the third quarter. Jimmy Butler being guarded by Robert Williams, and Jimmy Butler hasn't even had his biggest game either. Again, the whole entire Miami Heat team has contributed. Bam. Trying to go up strong. Back to Max Strus for a fadeaway three. Almost knocks it down. That would have been an insane shot, but it does not go in. Under 6 to go in the third. Jaylen Brown pulls up from 3 off the mark, and Boston is not doing the right strategy. They're chunking up threes, and they're not going in. They need to drive, try to get fouled. This strategy will not work. Jimmy Butler being guarded by Grant Williams. Now switches over to Robert Williams, which is a matchup win you would think for Jimmy Butler. And then Caleb Martin scores on a nifty drive. That was an insane drive by Caleb Martin, still showing his confidence. And you can see some Boston fans in the crowd are incredulous. They have no idea what in the world is happening to their beloved Celtics. The Celtics we saw in the regular season that looked unstoppable. And now Boston looks like, as RC said earlier, the 8 seed. It's crazy. Miami going to go to the line again. Bam's fouled, I think, by Jaylen Brown this time. So Miami can go up by 30 now. Nana says, I'm watching this game tonight. Really appreciate you for stopping by, Nana. It means a lot, so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. But this game is not close. I bet you're surprised as well, just like everybody, that Boston's down by 29 points, potentially 30 if Bam hits this first free throw. Insane. 5:17 to go in the third. Just a little over 17 minutes to go. And Bam Adebayo makes it a 30-point game. He'll have another free throw to put Miami up by 31 if he hits it. But even though the game's a blowout, I really appreciate you for stopping by, Nan. It means a lot. The Ohio State said, what's up, Only Talk Sports? What the Heat are doing this playoffs beyond remarkable. Is this one of the best and most unexpected NBA playoff runs you have seen? I really appreciate you for stopping by the Ohio State. Still hoping that you're feeling better. But I really appreciate you for stopping by, doing really good. But like you said, I'd have to agree with you. It probably is the craziest. Brad Stevens is on the sideline. He can't believe it either. Probably wishing he was still maybe the head coach that he could help. But obviously the GM job is better for sure. But Miami up 87-56 after Bam hits the second free throw. Malcolm Brogdon over to Jaylen Brown. Another missed three for Boston. They're missing everything, putting no game pressure on Miami. They could just cruise control this thing at this point. 4:50 to go in the third. Boston 5 of 23 from 3. Miami 12 of 25. That's a lot more threes than Boston, but that's not just the whole story. It's a lot of other reasons why Miami is winning. But I would agree with you, the Ohio State. I think it is one of the most remarkable ever because no one expected Miami to do this. And obviously they haven't finished the series off yet, but it's more likely that Miami's going to win this series. The 8 seed. Crazy. RC says Darvin Ham told us to trust him, and now look, they're down 3-0. Well, unfortunately, it's very hard to trust anything in the NBA playoffs because anything can happen. I think that this season is showing us that anything is possible in the NBA playoffs. It's hard to predict anything because I don't think anybody picked the Heat in Denver, and that could be what we get. If Miami wins this game, which at this point looks like a given, both Denver and Miami are up 3-0, and they could end the series, both these series, in Game 4, which is insane. Definitely thought these playoff series would go further in the conference finals, and maybe they will. Maybe Boston and Los Angeles can find a way to be able to extend the series, maybe win a couple games, but it's not looking like it right now. Miami hits both free throws. They're up by 23. 89-56. Malcolm Brogdon in the lane. Malcolm Brogdon misses. Robert Williams gets the ball on an offensive rebound, puts it back. But that only cuts it to 31. Boston would have to hit 15 shots to get back, all twos. They'd have to hit 15 twos to get back in the game. That's crazy. 4 to go in the third. And Miami, again, in cruise control. Kyle Lowry over to Max Strus. If you're Miami, you don't want to get too lax. But at this point, if Miami scores around 25 more points, they should have the game. I think Miami would only need like 120, 115, 120 to put this one away. I don't know if Boston can score 65 points in 16 minutes. Grant Williams, he's going to the bench. He has 6 points, 2 rebounds and an assist, 3 or 4 from the field. He's tried to have some impact, but it just hasn't been enough. for the Boston Celtics. Cody Zeller's into the game for Miami. Jimmy Butler driving in the lane with a step back two. His shot's off the mark. Cody Zeller tried to get the rebound, but Robert Williams got it. Now Jaylen Brown down the floor. Over to Malcolm Brogdon, to Derek White. In the corner to Jason Tatum, and his shot's off the mark. Again, Boston cannot hit a three to save their life. Now at the four, Cody Zeller goes up strong. He misses the shot, but he's fouled. Cody Zeller will have a couple of free throws. Solid pickup for the Miami Heat, along with Kevin Love as well. Both players were picked up during the trade deadline. I think they're both solid additions for Miami, but definitely when Bam needs some rest, Cody Zeller's been providing some solid minutes for the Heat. The Ohio State said it's nice the NBA is becoming quite unpredictable. They've been fairly predictable, especially in the Cavs versus Warriors finals days. Yeah, if you go back to like the Spurs, or the Warriors or the Heat, any of those teams, just they seem like they were winning over and over. The Celtics had their heyday run as well. I mean, it seemed like the same few teams, but to your point, it's becoming way more unpredictable for sure. I think it's a good thing, but definitely tough when you're trying to make predictions. Cody Zeller missed both free throws. That's tough there. But 89-58, Miami's still up 31 despite the two missed free throws. And Marcus Smart with the turnover. I mean, you just see Boston is just wired up. I mean, they're trying to make a good play, but they're trying too hard. You just got to play natural basketball. Marcus Smart trying to thread the needle with that pass is a turnover. Max Strus misses a three. Cody Zeller tried to get the rebound, could not. Now Malcolm Brogdon down the floor. Derek White shoots another three. Derek White missing a three. Cody Zeller with the rebound, and Boston just can't hit anything. Under 3 to go in the third. Lowry down the floor. Now it's over to Jimmy Butler. 2:50 to go in the third quarter, 31-point lead. Jimmy Butler over to Kyle Lowry. He fakes the three. Lowry into the lane, and Lowry throws it into the second row. That was a bad pass, but definitely not going to affect Miami yet. Miami don't want to get too sloppy, but as of this point, I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world with a couple of turnovers. Not like Boston's really hitting anything to make this game really interesting because they just turn it over again. Cody Zeller with the steal over to Jimmy Butler. If Boston could make some shots, because Miami's actually missed like last 4 shots on these possessions, then Boston could have hit the last 4 shots to get it cut it to around 22, but they're not hitting anything. So it doesn't even put any pressure on Miami. They could just keep missing. It's crazy. This was one of the most unexpected things ever. I was not expecting Miami to just blow out Boston like this. Boston is 58 points almost at the end of the third. This is just a bad performance by the Celtics. Marcus Smart over to Derek White for another three, and it's another miss. Cody Zeller just getting easy rebounds down low because of the fact Boston's not even boxing out. Now you've got Kyle Lowry at the top of the key being guarded by Marcus Smart. Lowry into the lane, goes up for a 2, and he misses. Zeller tried to get the offensive rebound, could not. Now Tatum down the floor. Tatum with the dunk. So Boston finally scored for the first time in probably 3 or 4 minutes. 89-60, 1:43 to go in the third quarter. And Miami takes a timeout. Eric Spoelstra probably trying to give his team a little bit of rest, and he does not want Boston to get any confidence at all. Probably just calling a standard timeout as well. I mean, I don't really think Eric Spoelstra at this point is really concerned about Boston coming back, but just calling a timeout to try to settle the troops down. But we'll have to see. But, man, Miami has been on a roll. What a performance from the Heat. And they deserve it. I mean, the way they've played, yes, Boston the last few minutes is just showcasing that they're off right now. But Miami set the tone. They set the tone with great defense in the first half. And now that Boston is just off, Miami, I don't think they're guarding necessarily as hard in this third quarter, but Boston can't hit anything. Once you take a team out of rhythm, it's really hard to get it back, especially when you're down by this much because Boston has no confidence. Boston does not even have the belief they could come back at this point. So it's one of those things where Miami's already just taken them out of their rhythm. So it's just been an excellent job by the Miami Heat of getting a big lead, and now they're maintaining it. And like I said, all Miami has to do is probably score 20, 25 more points, and they've got the game. You don't want to go scoreless the rest of the way, because then Boston might have a shot, but I don't think Miami's going to do that, but we'll have to see. But definitely the way Boston's playing right now inspires no confidence that they could win this game or this series. I'm not saying they're giving up, but they just do not look inspired at all. The way Boston was playing earlier this season, the regular season, like one of the best teams in the NBA, like potentially the best team in the NBA, and that's all gone. It's crazy how it disappeared. Miami up by 29. 1:40 to go in the third. The crowd is satisfied for the Heat. Definitely wants their team to finish it off. Never want to breathe a sigh of relief too early, but it's looking really good for Miami. Jimmy Butler palming the ball at the top of the key. Gets it to Cody Zeller down low. Driving on Derek White. Cody Zeller, 4-2. He gets it to fall. 91-60. Good shot by Cody Zeller. That puts the Heat back up by 31. 1:10 to go in the third. Jason Tatum, top of the key. Miami with 31 bench points. Boston with only 14. Derek White, 4-3 in the corner. Finally, Derek White knocks down a three. Probably potentially too little too late. Took a long time coming, but finally a big shot for Derek White. Got it to fall. 55 seconds left in the third. Jimmy Butler, top of the key. Robert Williams is guarding him. Heat up by 28. Butler drives into the lane. Crossover, step back on Robert Williams. He gets the shot to fall. That's a talented shot by Butler. Over 7-foot wingspan of Robert Williams. One of the longest players in the NBA with his length. And somehow Butler was able to hit that shot anyway. Boston misses a three. Marcus Smart gets the offensive rebound. Brogdon over to Tatum, and Tatum misses a three. Cody Zeller with another rebound. Cody Zeller racking up the boards. Boston isn't boxing out either. I mean, Robert Williams is a rebounding machine, but just, again, Boston looks flat. No, they're not hustling or anything. There's just no hustle. Miami up 30. 10 seconds left in the third. Jimmy Butler just milking the clock. Top of the key. Butler in the lane. Step back two. Off the mark. Derek White gets the ball, and that's the end of the third. 93-63, end of the third quarter. We're 12 minutes away from the Miami Heat going up 3-0 on Boston, just like Denver did to LA. Unbelievable. What a shock here in Miami. What a game by the Heat. The Ohio State, I'm extremely impressed with Caleb Martin for the Heat this playoff. I remember watching Martin play at Nevada in college. It's nice seeing him stepping up huge in the NBA playoffs. I agree with you. Both the Martin brothers were solid at Nevada. Eric Musselman was the coach. I think that definitely helped for sure. Now he's at Arkansas, obviously. But, I mean, Cody Martin, he's had some solid moments with the Charlotte Hornets. Obviously, the Hornets have not had a lot of success, but he's had some moments. But definitely, Caleb Martin at the Miami Heat he's been doing a great job just playing his role. And he's had a couple of breakout games. I mean, he's been solid for a while, but sometimes he doesn't even play much. But with Hero and Oladipo out, he's gotten his chances. And that 25-point performance in Game 2 helped Jimmy Butler lead the Heat to a victory in Game 2. And now tonight, is he having as big of a game? No, but he's still playing solid. He's not going out there and putting up no points at all. He's going out there still scoring around 8 to 10 points, just very poised, taking the right shots when given to him, and being a good connector piece to his teammates, because when he's not open, he's passing the ball. And that's another thing. Miami's been passing the ball so well, just like Denver has. It seems like the two teams that have been passing the ball, the most at a high level in these playoffs have been Denver and Miami. Both teams have been passing the ball so well. That's why the Warriors aren't here anymore, because the Warriors were turnover prone, which is crazy. I mean, the Warriors have always been a team that did turn the ball over, at a fairly high level because of their type of play, because they're a team, that runs around so much, and they run a lot of ball screens, and, their players are having to come off those screens. And it's really tough to run that type of offense, and you're going to have turnovers. It happens. But still, the Warriors turn the ball over more than they ever have this season, especially on the road. And that hurt them with the Kings. And even though they won that series, it hurt them with the Lakers. You gotta keep the turnovers at a minimum. Turnovers aren't the most important stat in the world. Shots are. You got to make shots. You got to defend. But if you turn the ball over at a much higher rate than your opponent, you're going to lose a lot of games, unless you're doing something else remarkably well to make up for it. But I think that Miami and Denver have been the two teams that have passed the best. And that's why both teams are probably going to be going to the finals, and they deserve it. I mean, they've been great. Both teams have just been passing the ball so well. And it's not the fact they don't make mistakes. I mean, Kyle Lowry had a pass in the second row in the bleachers. I mean, he's made some mistakes. I mean, Miami is not a team that is devoid of turnovers. They still turn it over. But Boston's been sloppy in this game. Boston's also not making shots, which, again, is the most important thing. But they're turning the ball over. That's led to points for Miami. and that's key. So definitely got to keep the turnovers at a minimum. Miami and Denver have done a great job of that. I mean, they're showing the plays by Miami, the big alley-oops by Bam Adebayo, the big threes made by a plethora of players. They've got a great team right now because of their confidence. Boston has the better team on paper, but Miami is the better team right now because of their confidence. And they deserve to win this game. They just hold on for the last 12 minutes. You already see Robert Williams on the sideline with his head down. Jaylen Brown. Everybody for Boston has a long face. They have that look like it's over. And Boston's bringing in Luke Cornett, Sam Hauser. They've already got everybody on the bench. Jason Tatum's on the bench, so Boston already has the backups in. I guess they're giving up. That's crazy. They're not even having none of the starters except Marcus Smart in right now in the fourth. That's insane. I would have never expected that coming into this game. Jeff said that's smart from Smart. That was a good play a long time ago. Jeff says Boston looks awful. That's definitely an understatement. You're absolutely correct. And there's an offensive foul on Grant Williams. He drove into the lane and he scored. But it's been that kind of night for the Boston Celtics. Another turnover because of an offensive foul. Jada says, Canada in the house. Hi, Jeff. Thanks for being here, Jada. Really appreciate you for stopping by. But definitely what a blowout by the Miami Heat. Cannot believe all the bench is in for the Boston Celtics already at this point in the game. That's crazy. Cody Zeller, top of the key, trying to drive into the lane. Kicks in the corner to Gabe Vincent for three. And Gabe Vincent is off the mark there. Marcus Smart with the board. Over to Peyton Pritchard. 11-10 to go in the fourth. Marcus Smart for three. His shot's off the mark. Gets tapped back outside to Peyton Pritchard. Pritchard driving into the lane. Pritchard is fouled and one. That's a good play by Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard's a guy, I know he's a defensive liability, but he's a guy I still wonder why the Celtics don't play more sometimes. He's a really good player. Out of Oregon, he's a really solid player. He can score. I mean, when he gets hot from three, he can shoot the ball at a high level. I know, again, he's a defensive liability with his height. He's only 6 foot, but he can be a really solid player. And right off the bat, he makes an impact for Boston. 93-66. 10:50 to go in the fourth quarter. Gabe Vincent over to Kyle Lowry. Now it's over to Cody Zeller. Back to Lowry. Lowry driving in the lane to Zeller with a floater. Zeller shots off the mark. Rebound by Sam Hauser. So Boston with numbers down the floor, down by 27. 10:40 to go in the fourth quarter. Peyton Pritchard with the ball at the top of the key, almost loses it. Now he's trying to drop in, and he's got the speed and a good pass to Luke Cornett with an alley-oop play there. See, Peyton Pritchard can run an offense. It's a good play. 93-68, 25-point game, little 5-0 run by Boston, 10:20 to go in the fourth. If you're Miami, you definitely want to keep scoring. Duncan Robinson driving in to Cody Zeller, and that time Cody Zeller scores. Nice pass by Duncan Robinson. Very unselfish play. 95-68. 10:03 to go in the fourth quarter because there is a foul, a stoppage of play. Marcus Smart is tripped up. So Marcus Smart will have a couple of free throws. Probably a good play by Smart. I mean, again, get to the line, get some free throws, but probably the Celtics needed that a long time ago. I think it's just a little too late for Boston to get to the line now at this point in the game. They needed this a long time ago. They needed free throws. Because Miami, it's not like Miami's been in the line a ridiculous amount. Like the Lakers have been in the line a lot more than Denver. The Lakers were at the line a lot more than the Warriors. But the reason why Denver's winning is because they're making shots. Miami hasn't been in the line that much more than Boston. It's just Miami's making shots. Boston's just struggling. 95-70, Smart does hit both free throws, under 10 to go in the fourth quarter. Cody Zeller, top of the key. Now it's over to Caleb Martin. The Ohio State is looking like we'll get a Heat versus Nuggets finals bar and something insane. It will be similar to the 99 finals with the 8 seed in the East facing 1 seed in the West when the then Knicks face the Spurs. That's crazy. That is insane for sure. I mean, that's going all the way back in the record books, in the history books. It just shows you it can happen. An 8 seed can get all the way to the finals, but it takes a lot of heart and dedication, maybe some unfortunate circumstances, looking at the Heat, how they had some injuries, but they've really bounced back as a team. They've bounced back as a team, and they're playing at an extremely high level, and you can tell they want it. You got to want it, and you got to believe, and Miami's doing that. Like you said, going all the way back to 9-9, the 8 seed in the East, 1 in the West, that's crazy. Hopefully the finals will be a lot of fun if it is Miami and Denver. I know a lot of people will want Denver to get their first title ever, but it will be crazy. It will be crazy for sure. And I'm looking forward to it. If Miami and Denver are the two teams, I'm looking forward to the finals. But hopefully Boston and the Lakers do not give up and just don't bow out after 4 games. Maybe they can make the series a little bit interesting, keep the conference finals going a little bit longer. Via Ohio State said, if the Heat end up winning it all, do you think this run will be the best moment it's been a run of title team of all time in the NBA? You can make an argument. I think that you can make an argument via Ohio State. I mean, there's been some insane plays, been made in the past. There's been some insane teams. I think that there's been a lot of insane teams for sure. But to your point, it could definitely be up there as the most insane and unexpected. I would probably say it is. RC says Celtics quit on themselves, period. There's not much else you can say. I agree with you, RC. I mean, it definitely looks that way. I mean, you never want to say that, but it looks that way for sure. I mean, Miami's just out hustling even now. Robinson misses a 2. RC says, I never want to hear Jason Tatum and Kobe in the same sentence ever again. That's a funny one, RC. The way the Boston's playing tonight and the way Tatum played, I mean, I agree, but Tatum did have 51 points in Game 7 against the 76ers, but still, in this series, he's not been the same. Jackson said when the Heat in the Eastern Conference Final, they will become the second ever 8 seed to make it to the NBA Finals. And if they win it all, they'll be the first ever 8 seed to win the NBA Finals. So either way, history will be made. And that's always great when you have, like a championship game or a finals. History will be made either way. If the Heat win, it'll be the first time an 8 seed's ever won the NBA Finals. But if the Nuggets win, it'll be their first NBA title ever. So either way you go, history will be made if the Heat and the Nuggets are in the finals. That is really cool. Gabe Vincent for 2, that's a really good shot. Nana says it's a shame Boston cannot get it together and make a game out of it. I agree with you, Nana. It definitely stinks for sure. You want these games to be close. I mean, you can't beat this time of year with the NBA playoffs. It's the conference finals. You want classics. You want games we can remember 20 and 30 years from now. How great that they were, but that's not what we've got tonight. And to your point, it's a shame with how great of a team Boston can be. The way that they're playing, they couldn't get it together. I agree with you, Nana. It is definitely a shame, but I really appreciate you for sticking it out nonetheless, despite, how not close of a game that this was. How much of a blowout it was with Miami. Great performance from Miami, though. A lot of fun watching Miami play at a high level. And again, a lot of people, include Jackson, wanted Miami and Denver, and it looks like it could happen. Sam Hauser just hit a 3 for Boston. They're still down by 24, and with 7:43 to go, Eric Spoelstra takes a timeout. Probably taking a timeout just to rest his players. And again, you don't want to let Boston get it too close. But still, at this point, I don't know if it's going to matter. I mean, they're down by 24. I mean, if Miami just went where they couldn't score again, I mean, you could see Boston potentially making a 24-0 run in the next 7 minutes. But all Miami's got to do is just keep scoring every now and then. And that's what they're doing. They're keeping Boston at bay. I'm just really shocked Boston took out all their starters at the end of the third. You don't usually see that, especially in a conference finals. I mean, this was like a regular season game. I get it. You're down big. Games lost, calls. It's not going to really affect you, so you take all your starters out. But this is the conference finals. You're down 2-0, and you take out your entire starting 5 except Marcus Smart. All of your starting 5s on the bench in the fourth quarter. That's not going to give you a chance to come back. I mean, granted, Boston probably wouldn't come back anyway, but it's just insane that they've already basically given up. It's crazy. The Ohio State says, do you think both series will end up being sweeps? I think Lakers win game 4, but Denver will win in 5. But I think the Heat will end up sweeping Boston. It's a good prediction. I mean, you look at the fact that the Heat are at home in game 4, which definitely would lead you to believe that they could win and sweep Boston 4-0. The Lakers are at home again. You maybe feel like they could finally get it done. I hope, even if Miami and Denver do relatively easily win these series, I do hope Boston and Los Angeles win a game or 2 and keep the conference finals going. I don't know if people really want the conference finals to be over with. I mean, the fact that they're kind of already over, the perceived nature of it, and the fact that it's already going to be 3-0 in both these series, and if they're already over, maybe just go in and get it over with. But at least it would create some intrigue if maybe Los Angeles won 2 games and then Denver, it's like a game 6 and it's getting kind of interesting. That would be kind of wild there. But I think that the way things are looking, I think Denver and Boston and Denver and Miami should relatively win both series, and Boston and the Lakers are going to be sent home. It's crazy. It is what it is. Not what I was expecting by no means. I thought both these series would go at least to 6 or 7 games because of how competitive a lot of these playoff games have been and these teams have been this year. But it is what it is. Crazy. The Ohio State's, my prediction has been so off this playoff, so who knows? I mean, I think the reason why, your predictions have been off is not because of the fact it's for lack of effort. Mine have been way off as well. Everybody's been way off. It's to all your guys' point, the NBA is very unpredictable right now. So I don't blame you at all for being off. I mean, you're probably way more spot on than I am. No one's been close, I don't think. I mean, no one probably picked Miami to go to the finals when the playoffs started. And they're one game away from doing it as long as they close out the next 7:43 here. They're one game away from the finals. I know more people picked Denver to do it. Don't blame them because Denver's been playing great. Denver's been playing some fantastic basketball, and they were a 1 seed. And I know some people were a little weary because Denver hasn't gotten to the finals before, and that they probably didn't think they could do it. But Denver was probably the team more people thought could get to the final, not Miami, especially with Boston and the 76ers and the Bucks in the East. No way. No one thought Miami would do it, but this is where we're at. And again, kudos to Miami for believing and for playing hard despite injuries. In Boston, their just lack of effort has just been insane. I wouldn't even say like the lack of effort, the whole entire series, because game 1 they had a lot of effort. And a 3-4 Miami. Gabe Vincent again, 100-73. But it's like the lack of effort in this game. It's not game 1. They played pretty hard in game 1, game 2 as well. But this game, especially the second half, there just does not seem to be a lack of effort. Everybody's flat. Even Tatum and Brown, they were just flat. I mean, I know they were down big. And a banked-in 3 in the corner by Luke Cornett. That's a crazy shot, a highlight reel shot there off the backboard. One of the only things that's gone right for Boston. 176. But it just seemed like the lack of effort in this game is crazy. I know you're down 2-0, but Boston needed this game. They needed to prove they can win this game. They lost the 2 home games, and maybe they could steal both these at Miami. They're not going to get it done. Again, it's remarkable what Miami's done. Grant Williams misses a 3. Oh, it actually goes in. It looked like it was going to go out, but it goes in. 179. Gabe Vincent down the floor. He lays it in and 1. 102-79. Miami's trying to keep their foot on the gas with some of their role players. Boston's starting to hit us some shots. So Boston's starting to get it going a little bit. I cut it to 21, but right on cue, Gabe Vincent with a bucket. Trying to keep Boston at bay. That's smart by Miami. Just keep scoring. Keep your foot on the gas. That is a winning strategy for sure. Gabe Vincent's only free throw on that play right there is good. It's 103-79. Gabe Vincent is a guy that I don't think anybody was expecting to have a great NBA career. Guy that maybe you would have thought had a shot. He was solid at UC Santa Barbara, but what a job the Miami Heat have done transforming his game. And now sometimes he plays more than Lowry. I know Kyle Lowry's an older guy, and he can still play at a high level at times, but Gabe Vincent's been great. He just plays well. He plays hard. He hits timely buckets. Really good player. It's always nice to see the undrafted players like this just playing a high level. Zeller down the floor, no foul, misses the layup. Now Boston going back down the floor, down by 24 points, under 6 to go. And for Sam Hauser, misses a shot. Cornett taps it back in. Good play by Cornett. He's a guy that does play hard off the bench for Boston when he gets minutes. 103-81. 5:45 to go in the fourth. Caleb Martin over to Kyle Lowry. Back to Caleb Martin for 3. And Caleb Martin's 3 goes in, hit the front rim, and it went in. Everything going Miami's way, even shots like that. 106-81. Peyton Pritchard with the ball. Nice blow by on Caleb Martin. That's a good play by Peyton Pritchard, showing his versatility there on the offensive end. He definitely has a good off-the-dribble game. 106-83. 5:10 to go in the fourth. Caleb Martin to Gabe Vincent. Zeller setting the ball screen. Good screen. Gabe Vincent for 3 again. And Gabe Vincent is still hot. 109-83. 5 to go in the fourth. RC said, are the Heat out there with Jimmy Butler? The scoring is telling me that. I mean, you think about it, Jimmy Butler hasn't even played that much in this game. I mean, he's played, but he hasn't had to do that much. He only has like 14 points. Miami's bench has been great. And as I speak, Duncan Robinson scores another 3. 112-83. It's a 39-point lead. This is insane. This is crazy. A 29-point lead. Sorry, it looked like it was up by 40. This game's such a blowout. It feels like Miami's up by 39, but they're up by 29 points. This is crazy. You just can't get much better than this for Miami. I mean, there's no other words to say. Miami's playing great. Boston's not. That's all you can say. That is literally all you can say. Take the records out of it. Take the seeding out of it. It doesn't matter that Boston's a 2 seed. It doesn't matter that Miami's an 8 seed. Miami is playing like the better team. And when you don't have to have your star have a big game and you still win, that's huge. Jimmy Butler, he did his job in the Milwaukee Bucks series. Had the 56-point game. Had the 45-point game. Led Miami over the Bucks. And ever since then, he's had some big games. But in this series against Boston, Jimmy Butler has not had to be a complete superstar. He's had to just be really good. 27 points in game 2, but in game 3, not even had to have 20 points. His team with Gabe Vincent, all these guys, Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, Caleb Martin are hitting shots. Just shot after shot. Bam Adebayo had some great dunks. Miami's been a complete team. Boston just hasn't. Boston just didn't have the effort. Boston just didn't have the hustle, the versatility, the whatever you want to call it, whatever adjective you want to use. Miami has just been that team. The Ohio State said there's a small chase Tyler here. It could be bad for the Heat at some point in the NBA Final with the projected timetable. That would be huge for Miami. For sure, I know Victor Oladipo's out for the season, but yeah, if Tyler Hero could come back, you don't know if that would mess up the rotations or anything because the way Miami's playing with this team, maybe bringing back Tyler Hero can mess up the rotations, especially with some of these guys like Caleb Martin and Duncan Robinson who are playing so well. If Hero's back, their minutes are going to be reduced. But I do agree with you. If somehow Tyler Hero could come back and be worked back in the lineup and still Eric Spoelstra can play these other guys too, it would definitely make Miami more dangerous from 3. It would give them more versatility for sure. Jackson says, via Ohio State, that would be awesome for sure. Via Ohio State also, we could have over a week off, no NBA games. Both series end up as sweet. NBA Finals start Thursday, June 1, no matter what. Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm sure a lot of people hope these series last longer, even if Denver, Miami win. You just don't want them to be blowouts. I mean, if Miami and Denver both sweep, they deserve it. I mean, the way they're playing, they need to go ahead and sweep because you don't want to let Boston or Los Angeles hang around. That would be your worst mistake. If you're Denver and you let Los Angeles win the next 2 games and everybody's going to be like, is Los Angeles going to come out and win the series? Is Denver going to blow their chance at their first finals? LeBron's going to bring them back and it'll be the first team to ever, come back from 3 down. The more that you allow Los Angeles to come back, that puts more pressure on Denver. Same thing with Miami. You let Boston win a couple games, and then Miami's like, we're not going to be, potentially the first team to be an 8 seed to win it all. We're going to blow the series. I mean, again, being down 3-0, it's impossible statistically. No team's ever done it. But that doesn't mean it's impossible, especially what we've seen in the NBA. Crazy things have happened. But I will say the way Boston's looking right now with their effort not looking that great, they're going to get it done. Los Angeles, however, they're still playing hard. Maybe they'll find a way to win one. I don't know. But all I do know is that if Denver and Miami do sweep Boston and Los Angeles, like you said, no games until Thursday, June 1. That's going to be a big gap. It's going to be a big gap, but that's going to make the finals all the more anticipated for sure. But hopefully these series last a little bit longer, but it definitely looks like they will be over soon no matter what. Because Denver and Miami are rolling, and they're going to want to find a way to end these series as quick as possible. Boston hit a 3, but at this point, it's all window dressing. 112.86. 4:10 to go in the 4. And Duncan Robinson for 3 again. 115.86. Miami is on fire. Peyton Pritchard to the rim and 1. 4:06 to go in the 4th. 115.88. One thing you don't want to do when you got a big lead, even though the game is already over, essentially, if your Miami is foul. You don't want to foul. You just don't have to foul. I mean, you're up by a large amount. There's just no sense in fouling at all. You don't have to. But Pritchard, he does miss the free throw, so it does not make Miami pay for that foul. Duncan Robinson with the rebound over to Kyle Lowry, being guarded by Peyton Pritchard. Lowry at the top of the key. He didn't even have his biggest game either, but it didn't matter with Robinson and all these other guys playing so well for Miami. 115.88, 3:50 to go. RC says the only reason the Celtics would play a game 4 is to beg for mercy from That's funny. Yeah, I mean, right now, the way it is, it looks like Celtics are only going to have a game 4 because they're just not playing well at all. Duncan Robinson, and then Sam Hauser fouls him on a three. He fouls Duncan Robinson on that three. So just going from bad to worse for Boston. You don't have to have that there. 3:47 to go in the fourth. And Duncan Robinson, he's a great three-point shooter, and he's a great free throw shooter. You know he's probably going to knock him down. See, Robinson was 16 points, 4 assists, 4 6 from 3, but these points add up. Duncan Robinson over double digits. Gabe Vincent over double digits. It just goes on and on. He's Caleb Martin around 10 points. All these points add up. Duncan Robinson hits them all. Pure free throws, just smooth. 118 to 88, 3:47 to go in the fourth. RC said, I've seen people fighting hard during their lunch breaks than the Celtics have tonight. That's hilarious as well. You got some really good lines tonight, RC. I really appreciate you for being here tonight through the blowout. I thank all you guys for being here tonight. But a 30-point lead for Miami. Feels like 40, but they're up by 30, 118-88. Mike Muscala for three for Boston off the mark. Luke Cornett with a rebound over to Pritchard. 3:30 to go in the fourth. Pritchard back to Cornett over to Muscala. Boston going around the world with it, and Hauser cannot finish it off with a made bucket. Neither can Muscala, and then Cornett's fouled down low. 3:25 to go in the fourth, and we still got fouls. So teams are playing hard. I mean, I guess especially Miami because they're still fouling. I mean, you don't need it, but they're still fouling. But Boston's had more fouls, it seems, with the starting five out. They're showing you Udonis Haslem, 20th season with the Heat, 3 NBA titles. This is going to be his last year as a player. He's been a player coach for Miami essentially the past few seasons. Hasn't played that much. It's going to be really interesting to not see him on the sideline as a player anymore. He can still come into the game, but Udonis Haslem has had a really solid career with the 3 titles. Back when he was younger, he definitely played a big role for Miami. Solid player all throughout his career. But just crazy all around. Miami just with a deeper team than we expected, the way that these guys are playing. Yurtseven down low for Miami, misses a jump hook. 118 to 90. We've only got around 3 minutes left in this game. Sam Hauser, he is fouled on that drive. So 118 to 90, 3 to go in the fourth. 3 minutes away from Miami going up 3-0. RC said when Joe Mazzulla gets back to the Celtics facility, he's going to find out his key card doesn't work, then he will know he's fired. I mean, again, I have no idea if he's going to be fired or not. I know that's definitely the hot take right now. It could be possible. I mean, this is bad. This is really bad for sure. If Boston loses this series 4-0 when they were favored to win the series, that would just be a horrible look. I don't know. I mean, he definitely could be fired. It's only his first year, but I definitely think that is a possibility. That's hilarious, though. Gixer Squid said, I'd watch a Miami Lakers matchup, but not Miami Nuggets. It's very interesting. I don't know definitely what your preferences are on which teams, but it's very interesting. But I really appreciate you for being here, Gixer Squid. At least it would be a finals between a team that's never won an NBA title and a team that it would be the first time that an 8 seed has ever won an NBA title. So at least it would be 2 teams that it would be a first for either. I mean, I know a lot of people want the Nuggets to win because they've never won it all before. They've never even been to a finals. That would be really cool. But with Miami, the first 8 seed, to be able to win the whole entire thing, that would be really cool. I mean, again, whoever would win would be a first. Jack says, I don't know, would a Heat Nuggets final sounds pretty cool, especially with both teams looking to make history. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Jackson. I agree with you. I think that would be cool. I kind of like it. I agree with you. I mean, Gixer Squid, definitely everybody has their own opinion. Don't know what your personal preferences are on teams, but I agree with Jackson. I think it would be kind of cool. I mean, I hope Boston and Los Angeles make it competitive. I really would like to see it competitive for sure, but the way Boston's playing right now, down 125-94, 151 to go in the fourth, I don't think Boston, unless we just see a complete flip of the script, Boston's not going to make it far in this series. They might lose the next game. They might be swept because they're not playing hard at this point. Even the bench is really struggling. I think Boston has a lot more in them than they've shown. They could be much better than this, and they are a really talented team, but they've just really struggled. Boston is a team that should have been able to have a chance to win a title. They could have won a title this year. But it is what it is. I mean, they're not going to get it done. It don't seem like. I mean, they're going to be down 3-0. No team's ever come back. I mean, Boston has the talent to come back, but the way they're playing, it's not going to happen. So they're down by 31 points right now. Now Muscala is at the line for some garbage time free throws. Just doesn't matter at this point. Even if Boston makes it look a bit more respectable, like a 25-point loss, it just doesn't matter. A 25-point loss is just as bad as a 35-point loss. But right now, if you're the Boston Celtics, there's going to be a lot of reflection on this game, and they're going to have to come out in game 4 either really tough and try to maybe win a game or two in the series, or Boston's going to come out and lose. We're going to find out immediately in game 4 what Boston's going to have in the tank. We'll have to see for sure. 1:20 to go in the fourth. Miami turns it over, one of the only mistakes they made in a long time. And there's a foul down low. There's been more fouls in the last few minutes than in the whole game. It's like both teams just keep fouling each other. It's not needed. Game's over. I mean, I get it. The bench players, they want to go out there and give it their shot, give it their crack at it on the floor. They don't normally get to play that much, but these fouls are not needed at all. Game is well in hand. Luke Cornett hits the first free throw, 125-96. But I definitely do not think that anybody was expecting this result. Anybody was expecting this result. I thought it would be a close game. Didn't know for sure if Boston would win. Maybe was leaning that Boston would find a way to win since Miami won both games at Boston. Miami, their depth's just doing a great job. Boston just does not have it right now. Denver's up 3-0 on the Lakers, and now Miami's up 3-0 over Boston. Just under a minute to go before it is final. And Lowry hits another 3 to put Miami up by 31 again. The Ohio State, where would you rank Eric Spoelstra as a current NBA coach? It's hard to rank coach, but it's amazing how good a coach Spoelstra has become. I mean, I agree with you. It's kind of hard to rank NBA coaches because so much of it is, how much talent you have on your team. Look at Greg Popovich. As great as he was back in the day with Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, but now that they don't have a great team, he's not winning. I mean, Eric Spoelstra probably top 3. I mean, he's probably in the top 3, especially with the longevity, the fact they're winning now, and the fact that they're winning with undrafted players. No one's expecting them to win. I mean, you can make an Army's number 1. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you have to go through every coach and the resumes. He's top 3 for sure. Has to be top 3. It could be the best. Definitely in the top 3. But I agree that he's a good coach. Winning with less talented players or guys that no one really believed in, that is key. Nana says, even though the game was so one-sided and I still enjoyed it, Boston just didn't get it going. Good job as always. I really appreciate the compliment, Nana. Thanks for being here so much. Even though the game wasn't close, still a lot of fun having all you guys here, especially you, Nana, so much. I appreciate it a lot. And the game is final. 128-102. That is your final. The Miami Heat, the 8th seed, are one game away from going to the NBA Finals with a chance to be the first team to ever win an NBA title as an 8th seed, the lowest seed usually to be in the NBA playoffs until you have the playing game where you have the 9 or the 10. But Miami, wow, it is insane. No team has ever come back from 3 down. Boston is down 3-0. Los Angeles is down 3-0. A lot of people think maybe Los Angeles could win another game. Who knows? But Boston, the way they played tonight, they were not inspiring at all. And they do not like they're going to be able to have a shot to win another game. What a blowout. What a performance by Miami. A complete team effort. Even Jimmy Butler did not have to do too much. It was an insane performance by the Miami Heat. But what a game. The Ohio State's great stream as always. I really appreciate that. The Ohio State. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Share the stream out on social media. But most importantly, everybody, thank you so much for being here. It was a blowout. It was not a close game. Was not expecting that. But still appreciate all you guys for sticking it out. It means so much to me. It makes this worth doing. I appreciate you guys so much. And definitely, we'll try to be back soon for another NBA live stream. Hopefully some more of these games will be close. Hopefully the conference finals will continue. Maybe LA and Boston can make it interesting. Not looking that great, especially for Boston, but we'll have to see. But we might have a finals consistent of a team that's never been to the finals in Denver and an 8 seed in Miami. Only the second time an 8 seed's ever got to the finals. Potentially Miami could be the first 8 seed to ever win a title. And Denver could be the first time they've ever won a title. It's going to be really interesting there, but I'm really looking forward to the NBA Finals Conference finals aren't done yet. They're looking like they're done. Mathematically, it's over, but you just never know. I know no team's ever come back from 3 down, but we'll have to see what's going to happen. But I really appreciate you guys for being here. Definitely going to be a lot of fun to see what happens. The NBA playoffs have been awesome. Maybe the conference finals haven't been what people were expecting, were as close. They've still been fun, and I really appreciate all you guys for being here. But what a win for Miami. They're up 3-0 with only one more win to get past Boston and get to the NBA Finals as an 8 seed. No one was really expecting that. But what a win for Miami. Boston really struggled, but what a win for Miami. I really appreciate you guys for being here. Thanks for being here, everybody.